Hello, Hidden Pearls podcast fans. Welcome back. Week 5. We are taking a trip to Arizona. Hoorah. Going down to Arizona. A little bit of a homecoming, it feels like, since we spent all of last winter pretty much in Arizona when the Niners got kicked out of San Jose and we had to go down. So got a lot of sun that winter. But either way, this week we have a really exciting episode. We have on the one and only Kyle Juszczyk, the Swiss Army knife of the 49ers. We have on his beautiful wife, my good friend, Kristin, and then their little fluff mozzarella. We also have George and Deanie. So make sure you stick around for those. And then Bruce. And for our MVP guest, we have Nate Boyer, and Nate is actually a co-founder of MVP. And so his story is fascinating. Drops a lot of wisdom about loving yourself and how the world just does not need any more hate. So please stick around for that. Leave a comment, you can subscribe, but either way, let's get this show rolling. Two, what?
Action! Juice, you missed it.
You want to do it again? Perfect.
All right, do it again.
All right, three, two,
one. Action! Well, that's all right.
Good job, boys. Okay.
Bam!
Welcome. This week, the Niners are on the road to Arizona to play the red-hot Cardinals, who come into the game undefeated at 4-0. A huge game for pecking order and survival in the NFC West. Our player guest this week with George is our Niner fan favorite and super hot and cute, Kyle the Juszczyk.
Yeah.
What a script. Welcome, Juice. Thank you so much for finally being on our show.
Thank you. I'm stoked to be here. I'm feeling super hot. So let's get it going.
Right.
Before the game, when your lovely wife comes down and she's standing there, then she'll come up and stand next to me. And then you come running by and you're like, cute and everything. I go, gosh, he's so good looking. She goes, she'll grab my arm. She goes, isn't he the one? No. Oh man, she loves it. And you are. You look dazzling in those shorts.
Hey, you look good yourself, man. Don't sell yourself short.
Okay, perfect. Bio us up, George. Let's roll.
The bio? All right. Kyle Juszczyk. The graduate out of Harvard, not Yale. Harvard. Get that right. Graduated drafted in 2013 by the Baltimore Ravens. Has been a Pro Bowl player every year since 2016. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You're doing something right if you got 5 straight Pro Bowls. And if, all pro, so that fullbacks probably be a 6 to 7 time all pro guy. So, we're going to work on getting that because fullbacks are great again. Let's see what else we got rolling for us. Juice has been with the Niners for 5 years. Free agent, big time signing. Highest paid fullback in NFL history. Twice now. Whoo, boys, that boy got it. 2 times. You're right. Also, many don't know this, but if you go back and look at his Baltimore film, used to wear a nice cowboy collar. Might bring it back this year.
That's actually not true. That was one practice.
It was
one practice.
Also used to weigh like 260. So Juice can do it under center, taking QB sneaks, getting the fullback dives and running down the sideline on some wheel routes. He can do it all. Juice, welcome to Hidden Pearls podcast. We are so happy to have you.
Stoked to be here. What an intro, man. I'm feeling good about myself.
As you should. We're all about affirmations. So that's good. All right. Let's see. Then we'll just jump in a little bit. So grew up in Ohio, if I have that correct. And you were a tight end. Actually, and maybe that was kind of in and out like what the Niners do a little bit, but played tight end at high school, Cloverleaf, for the Cloverleaf Colts in Lodi, Ohio. So we're always curious a little bit, not greatly, but a little bit about Ohio. So is there a favorite thing about Ohio that you really like that we should give a plug to? Because all my life, we've always been competing with Ohioans. So it's all Ohio and Iowa with Idaho. We never know what the hell's going on. But anyway, What's a great thing about Ohio?
Man, great thing about Ohio, something I just miss, about home is it's just a slower pace of life. At the end of the day, it's a lot more chill there. There's a lot more space. Those are the 2 biggest things I would say. Pace of life and the space. I miss just having lots of land and your neighbor's not right on top of you. And you just have, your own privacy out there.
Okay. And I just have to ask, so when you were growing up, did you think you lived in the Midwest? Because that's kind of
I know, and it didn't make sense to me until I got to college, and I remember I was on a recruiting trip, and he was from Ohio as well, and he's like, "Oh, another Midwestern boy." I'm like, Midwest? Like, aren't we like pretty East? Never really lined up with me, but I go with it.
No, I've heard that. I know, like, so we were all from Iowa, right? Like Ohio's like, man, we feel like it's almost on the East Coast. You can throw a rock into the ocean practically. You know what I mean? Like from Iowa.
Right. I mean, I hear people from Pittsburgh say that they're from the Midwest. So
yeah, well, Pittsburgh. Okay. All right, then. All right. Then why does a high school called Cloverleaf have a mascot called the Colts? Just wondering if you have that answer.
You know what? I don't know why they're the Colts, but the reason they're named Cloverleaf is because there's a certain highway formation that makes a clover, and that's right next to our high school. So that's why it's Cloverleaf. I don't know why they're the Colts though.
Industrial.
You should have a guy walking around with a Cloverleaf Interstate on a hat. Okay. All right. Then let's see. How many siblings do you have?
I have 2 older brothers.
2 older brothers. Okay. And which of you 3 is the toughest?
That's tough. That's a tough question because any answer I give, someone's going to be offended.
Mm-hmm. That's why we ask it.
I'll give it to my brother Brandon though. He has by far broken more bones than any of us in the family, and he always bounced back. So I say he's the toughest.
Okay, and then just on the family, always wondering, just because we're all shaped kind of by the people that we grew up with and that, and so between the brothers and your mom and dad and all that, maybe what's one of the best or hardest lessons that served you over the years that you picked up from your family?
You know what? I don't know if I'd say it's like the hardest lesson or whatever, but I think maybe the coolest lesson is that family's always first. And I've learned that I have my mom, it's just my mom and my brothers. So, we're a tight knit group, and we always kind of looked at things as like us against the world. And we always came first in each other's lives. And so like just having that camaraderie between, the small tight group and always feeling like it's us against everybody, just kind of, I don't know, taught me a cool lesson that family's always first, and family's always got your back.
Very good. Indeed, it does. That's pretty good.
Well, so then let's take it to the transition out of Ohio. How did you get to Harvard?
Yeah, you know what? Despite what most people might think, that was my best football opportunity. I didn't have a lot of offers from Division I schools. I only had one offer from a 1A school, and that was Miami of Ohio. And I didn't get that offer until I told the guy that was recruiting me that I was going to Harvard. And so he's like, well, how would a scholarship, from Miami of Ohio change your mind? And well, to be honest with you, it's not. It didn't change my mind. So Harvard was my best opportunity to make it to the NFL, which sounds so crazy, I know, to most people. But Harvard at the time and still now, it has been a dominant program in the Ivy League. And every year they put 1 or 2 guys into the league. And although I never expressed out to the public that that's what I wanted to do with my life, that was my dream. I really didn't care too much about school or like what was, yeah, I know, believe it or not.
Why?
But that was deep down, that was the goal, and that's what I wanted to do. And so that Harvard offered me the best opportunity to do it.
Well, that's pretty cool. Let me, because I think when I was reading your stuff on the Harvard, at the time you were drafted in 2013, you were only the 9th player, I think, drafted, and you were the second. Yeah. Somebody else that went in a 4th round that was just slightly a few picks ahead.
Yeah, not a lot of draft picks, but guys making it as undrafted free agents. Right. And it's just funny. I had those were the kind of the expectations and the goals. Like I just have a different path where I was the first person to go to a Division I school, and it was a 1AA school. I was the first person in like 10 years from my high school to make it to a college in a Division I program. And I mean, my whole time I was just thinking, man, all these D3 schools around me are awesome. I'd love to go play at Mount Union. and that was kind of my my mindset even in college. Like I found out there was a practice squad in the NFL, and I'm like, man, like could I do that? Like that would be awesome if I could make a practice squad. Like I just my eyes weren't open to exactly how high I could really go.
Right. Well, we're going to come back to that. That's really cool about just mindset and thinking about where you can go and how you get there. Okay.
So when you were at Harvard, what did you get your degree in? And then what was your favorite thing about attending and playing at Harvard?
Yeah. So I ended up getting my degree in economics. I started as a math major, and that was always my strength in high school was math. I was always in the advanced courses. It was fun to me. It was almost like, like a puzzle every day. So I loved math and dove into that when I got into Harvard. But by year 2, things moved quickly and we were doing some crazy stuff, and things were moving a little too quickly for me.
I've been there, baby. I've been there. I know exactly.
Yeah. So I needed to slow things down a little bit. And so my next best option was economics, because it was still math related, but we weren't multiplying infinity times infinity and dividing 0 by 0 and getting into these imaginary numbers and all that kind of stuff. So that ended up with economics. But I think my favorite part about Harvard, kind of on the overall scheme, not just football, was just the incredibly diverse students we had and like cultures. I had come from just such a Midwestern white slow town, that we had zero diversity, and I hadn't experienced a lot of things in my life. And so going to Cambridge and living in a big city and going to a school where I was actually a minority, it was extremely eye-opening, and I grew so much as a person, like very quickly. And I have such an appreciation for the fact that I went through that.
So it was like a total culture shock to you.
Complete culture shock. I honestly struggled my first semester, and just kind of just fitting in with what was the new normal, and just just how to get by in that kind of environment. But you adapt, and it definitely made me a stronger and better person.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So then senior year, you were named all Ivy League as a tight end. So there we go. Big flex. When did you kind of make the transition between fullback and tight end?
Yeah. So, what's actually funny is I wasn't designated a tight end in the all Ivy thing, because I did play tight end, but we ran all 2 tight end sets with Cameron Brate, who now plays for the Tampa Bay Bucks. And we were both the best tight ends in the league, but we were on the same team. And so my head coach wanted us to both be first team all Ivy. So they actually made a new spot for me, and I was the first team all Ivy H-back. And there had never been one before, but they made a slot so that we would both be first team all Ivy. So that was
awesome.
kind of a fun fact. And kind of, similar to now with the Niners, like I'm listed as a fullback, but I don't always play 100% fullback. Same thing in college. I was listed as a tight end, but I spent like 80% of my snaps in the slot. I was majority kind of a glorified slot receiver. I only played in the backfield on short yardage and goal line situations. Never lined up in an I formation until the Senior Bowl. After college. And so that was really my transition. My agent, when he approached me, he's like, hey, like, I really think we have a chance to get you drafted. He's like, but to be totally honest with you, you're a little too short to play tight end in the NFL. And that's going to work against you. So I think he told me your best opportunity is if you make that transition and say that you're a fullback and be a little bit of that hybrid, and that would give you the best chance to get drafted.
Why?
That's really cool. It's really a testament to your
Yeah.
kind of athleticism and all that. I can see you on the slot. I'm just thinking like a Trent Taylor and all those guys.
Yeah. I was a 240-pound slot receiver.
Well, that's what I mean, because I was looking at your Harvard Pro Day stuff, 6'1", 240. Is that right? And then what do you weigh? What do you play at now? Is that about the same? Or
You know what's funny? I play at like 228 now.
that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I've fluctuated in such different weights. I know George made a shout out to it in the bio. My rookie year in Baltimore, I got close to 260. Just because they told me to.
Will you please
You're lucky
send?
they didn't move you to center.
Do you have a photo, Kyle? Can we?
I don't want to show you. No, that was deleted.
Thinking about your face and oh my gosh, dude.
Oh,
Well, that's tough. Are you gonna do the? I just wanted to before we jump into that. Go ahead, finish that last one. Sorry.
Well, no, you're good. So I wanted to talk about. So didn't get invited to the combine, and
Wait.
we know how. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I just want to go back because this was really interesting. I wrote these out. Career stats: 1,576 receiving yards, 125 receptions, and 22 TDs. And I don't know where those stand because it wasn't mentioned anywhere in Harvard history, right? So, but those are pretty good numbers.
Oh,
I was going to say that because you know what? When I was redoing this, we had Mercedes Lewis on, right? And so all of his stuff are records. And your touchdowns, you have one more touchdown than he does. And your receptions, I think you're 3 behind him. And your receiving yards, you're within 5 yards of each other. I mean, it was really. So I was kind of looking at that, right? He has every record at UCLA, and so those are pretty. I wouldn't have known that except we just did Mercedes, right? Because I don't really that whole thing. So that's quite a career you had at Harvard.
thank you. And just throwing it out there, we only played 10 games a season, so that's only a 40-game career. But yeah, those were number one in school history for a tight end, and I think the touchdowns were number 2, like overall for any receiver. So I mean, it's funny, like what actually is funny is I get tagged in these things every draft season. I get tagged about this guy that's coming out of Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, and he's their second tight end, or he's their defensive end that's converting to fullback, or he's their fullback who's caught 9 passes in his 4 years at their school or something like that. And they get compared to me, that this is going to be, the next Kyle Juszczyk. And again, like, I'm not trying to, I'm getting a lot of affirmation here and a lot of bragging rights, but I wasn't that guy. Like I was, I was in the Ivy League, but there was production out there. And it's just funny to see, like people don't really, they don't really know, because we weren't, a big program like that.
Yeah.
Now they'll know. The world will know, Kyle. We've got you.
Well, that's, it is really interesting about your story though, because you didn't go from the big meaty fullback, to working to the outside. You lived outside primarily in the H-back slot receiver world, and then have just kind of adjusted to picking up kind of a routine kind of thing. But you didn't spend your Harvard career in an I formation running down like linebackers. You know what I mean?
No, it's interesting, and I think honestly, it's the reason I'm the football player that I am. I grew up, so I've started from the outside and I've moved in on the formation. Growing up, I was a free safety on defense, and I was a quarterback on offense. So I kind of saw the whole field as a quarterback, and then on defense, I'm seeing the whole field as a free safety. And then I slowly transitioned. Then I moved to linebacker and tight end. Then I moved to fullback, and now I'm here in the middle, tighter in the formation. So I feel like that it kind of made me develop over my years of playing football and kind of seeing everything, and going from like a more like skilled position into a more a ground and pound kind of guy.
Actually, into a more even truly skilled position. So anyway, that's good. Okay, let's see. Are you in the transition?
Yeah. So transitioning into the NFL, not invited to the combine, idiots. Can you talk to us a little bit about kind of because the transition, right? It sounds like I know you, so you are very mental and you are very diligent about your process. So can you talk to us a little bit about what the mindset was like in that transition and kind of doing it on your own and what that was like for you?
Yeah, I definitely had a chip on my shoulder for not getting invited to the combine. It was a total shock to me because I had already attended the Senior Bowl and I had a great week, incredible evaluations, and like from that week at the Senior Bowl, I was starting to get these projections of a mid-round pick, and so I'm thinking in my head that no doubt I'm getting invited to the combine, and that was a dream of mine, honestly. Like every year I was dialed in watching the combine, comparing my numbers with all the tight ends that were running. And so I'm like so excited and I just never get the invite. And so, I mean, honestly, it just drove me to train even harder and just to ball out on my pro day, so I just use that kind of as fuel to get ready for that. But the big transition, and I'm sure George can attest to this, I think the biggest difference of playing tight end and playing fullback is being able to insert into the line of scrimmage. It's not a natural thing. And George, tell me if you agree. It takes some time and some feel to be able to just without thinking in a quick reaction, adjust to where the holes are at and where the offensive line is moving, where the defensive linemen are moving. Because when you're on a tight end, you're on the edge of the formation and you're just so used to, all right, go forward or go cross, and when you play fullback, all of a sudden now I got to adjust to where everybody else is at. And I have to find my way to a linebacker in the quickest, most efficient way possible. So that was a big transition for me and something that I tried to work on, without without actually having 22 players on the field. Just tried to work on that with bags and whatnot with my college coach in preparation for the pro day.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember my rookie year, you were hurt for a game.
Yeah.
And I went fullback against Washington. And like, I didn't get any prep. It was like, did you get hurt at Washington?
It was the week before in Indianapolis.
All right. So like I go into the game and I kind of pregame, they're like, hey, you might take some fullback reps. And I was like, what? Like I didn't practice it all week. I was like, all right, yeah, sure. And I think I ran like a couple like Mike plays, some weak plays. But like just like because you're playing running back from 3 to 4 yards closer without the ball, you're in a 3-point stance. Like especially if you're in the I formation, like you can't see shit. And then you have the O-line's going that way, and then if there's someone motion back here, the guy that you're blocking is going back, and so you have to wind back, find the hole, and insert and find him. Yeah, it's a trip, man. It's a trip. It's
a different skill set that I think a lot of people overlook, and especially people are so quick to say that he'll transition great to playing fullback, but then you see these guys running into the backup offensive lineman. It's something that takes some time and some reps.
Some of those holes are about that big, and you're just like shoulder throwing them, jump in, put your hands on the guys.
Exactly. Well, Juice, I think one of the edges for me, just watching the tape with George. Like the Zorro stuff and that where you guys have multiple different reads and combinations on the edge, especially with the outside zone that the Niners have run so well over the years. I mean, I know that every tackle that's played, and George feels this way, if we don't quite get it right, Juice will clean it up. You know what I mean? But like those are, you're going, I wouldn't say quite full speed, but you're going pretty damn fast. You got a running back right on your ass, and then you're reading the tight end and a tackle who are either tripling, or if he's got the Sam and he's reading the Sam to the safety, and you're going to combo off, that and that whole thing. You do a remarkable job within a step or two, making that whole thing work. And then I can't even believe what the running backs do, because those guys have to read all of that garbage and still, and they do an amazing job. So I think that is one of the, tougher, undervalued skill sets, as you mentioned, and people don't really appreciate how nuanced that is, because there's so many different looks that the Niners get and all the different things that can happen out on the edge. So well done. So we hope to see a lot more of that over the coming weeks.
No doubt.
Outside zone rolling. So that would be really good. So, okay. Let's see. We already talked transition. Massive stats, 40-yard dash at 4.71. It's crushing it, flying through the air like that. Vert 37, broad jump 10.1, and benched 225-20 reps.
Ooh.
Pumping it out.
I was pissed because I did 28 the week before.
Ooh. Right? Oh, well.
There's got me.
On the spot. Okay. All right. Let's see then. Georgie, are you going to do this one? You got your yeah. Get him in the NFL. You got your list up or not? You don't.
No, I'm on my cell phone. I have no idea what the next part of the script is.
Excellent. Okay. 4th
round pick by the Ravens in 2013. So transition from fullback to tight end. We just kind of talked about that. All the skill on skill. And then 2014 became starting fullback and repeated that also in 2015 and 2016.
And from then on. Well, just the other bio we got. So 213, you're kind of feeling your way, learning it. It made it sound like you kind of split some time. You had some, playing, but wasn't the guy. And then in 214, you kind of took that role over for the Ravens. And then throughout the rest of your career, at least with the Ravens, then you were pretty much the guy for that. Is that kind of, do I have that right?
Yeah. So basically like George, I feel like I've told you this story. So I got drafted to kind of, do you say something?
Jan's eating chips.
I got drafted the year after the Ravens had won the Super Bowl, and they had Pro Bowl fullback Vontae Leach, but he was at the end of his contract. He was a little bit older, and so they drafted me to replace him. And so I go through, mini camps, beginning of training camp. I'm the only fullback on the roster, and our first day, it was one of our first days in pads. We do short yardage and goal line. And I take 12 straight plays on the goal line, 12 straight lead plays, and I just get absolutely demolished. I was not ready for this level of play. And it by rep 5, it was a game for the linebackers and safeties. They were going to tee off on this rookie fullback and just make me look stupid, which led to me wearing the cowboy collar the next day. And that's where that picture comes from.
Did you get a stinger or two? Did you get lit up?
Oh my gosh, I got stinger after stinger. I was almost in tears after practice. I didn't think I could play in the NFL after that. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't play fullback. I don't know what I'm going to do. Luckily enough, I was doing really well on special teams. And so that was my role my rookie year. I played special teams strictly. I had 4 offensive snaps the whole year. Not to mention I didn't fit into our offensive scheme. We had Jim Caldwell, and he was a 3 receiver set almost 90% of the time. The next year, Gary Kubiak came, who's in that Shanahan tree, and ran the offense that we run now, much more vanilla, but same offense. And he had belief that I could still do it, and so he gave me a shot, and I was able to excel there. And then I just kind of have gone on from there.
It's amazing though, just having somebody giving you the space and the time. If they see the athleticism, know you've got the mental set for it, even if it's not quite getting done, but to have the opportunity to kind of grow into the position, not everybody gets that opportunity. So it's quite a deal when you get that. So
yeah,
the Kubiak for kind of seeing it and giving you space to grow into it. So
yeah, forever grateful for him and seeing that in me and giving me that opportunity. It definitely changed my entire career path.
All right. And then, so 14 and then 15, and then we think you started your Pro Bowl run in 2016. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So then we kind of lit all that kind of stuff up. And I just had this, and this may have been others. So in 2016, though, with the Pro Bowl, you also PFF ranked you as the top NFL fullback. That's probably happened more than a couple times since then. They've gotten more sophisticated, so that's all good. All right. So in that whole thing then, so at the end of that, then you eventually in 2017 jumped to the Niners. But before we do that, maybe just I'm always curious, so what was some of the favorite things about the Ravens? And in particular, as you got through that first kind of contract and you were doing all that, what were some of the big learning points for you just about, the league and life and, making it and all that kind of stuff? So, that's quite a growth period for you as well.
Yeah. You know what? I have to attribute so much to Baltimore in the professional player that it made me there, and that whole experience. It really is an A1 organization. And the biggest thing that they kind of see themselves as or value is toughness. You can't be in that building if you're not a tough football player. And you got to be gritty, you got to be grimy, and you had to work your freaking tail off. And we did that for 4 years, man. And it grinded me down, and I don't necessarily agree with everything that we did, But without a doubt, it made me a stronger and tougher football player. And I think it really boded well for, what I was able to then bring to the Niners. Because then I think the Niners are much more refined, and they're, without a doubt, we're a tough ass team. But we do it in a smart way, where I can't always say that in Baltimore we did it a smart way, but when you're a young kid in the league, you don't know any different, and you're going to do what you're told. So, I'm thankful for that time that I had there, because I think it made me the player that I am now.
Mm.
Very cool. Reminiscent of your Iowa City days, George, learning the grind.
I know. Very similar programs, man.
Yeah, and that
grind and grind, baby.
Grind.
Well, but so at least some of the lessons though about the nature of football and how different it can be in different buildings and with different organizations, and also though what it takes to be successful. Like you've already mentioned several things about kind of fitting into a particular offense and not. There's so many little nuances about how a person becomes successful within that scheme, and the mental mindset that it takes to get there. So, okay, then you
Transition
we're done here.
to the Niners.
Yes.
So you were a free agent, and then it was between the Eagles, Bills, and the Niners. So why the Niners?
It was a number of things. I really liked the idea of living in California, to be totally honest. It was something that my wife, Kristin, and she was my...
wait, I feel like we need to back up to Baltimore and meeting Kristin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great story. Let's take a trip backwards.
Yeah. So you're let's do that.
You want the story of how I met Kristin?
I've heard it, but it's so good.
Yeah, we heard it from Uncle
people
John, but
love it,
the people need to hear it.
Yeah. So Kristin's Uncle John, the infamous Uncle John that we all know and love. He got tickets to a Baltimore Ravens game, and I'm not sure exactly why. But his daughter at the time, Kristin's cousin, went to, I'm blanking on the name of the school, but it was in Baltimore, and she couldn't go to the game. And so he's like, all right, Kristin, like, you're coming with your uncle, you're going to go to this football game. Kristin, she's like, I don't care about football. Why do I want to go? She didn't know anything or care about football at all. But Uncle John said you're going, so she's going. And so they come to this game. We're playing the Carolina Panthers, and we were really good this year. This is 2015 when Kubiak was there. We were a playoff team. Oh, there she is. And come on in. You want to tell the rest of the story?
Are you telling our love story? You can finish it.
I'll keep it somewhat brief. So we are kicking the tails off the Panthers, and they originally had tickets up kind of in the nosebleeds. And so we're blowing them out at halftime. And so people leave. And so they're like, well, let's move down closer to the field. And so Kristin and her family, they moved down behind the offensive bench. And now I feel weird saying it, that she's right here, but spotted your boy.
I said, I'm gonna marry that one.
And she called it out. She told her aunt that she was gonna marry number 44.
Yep.
And a few Facebook messages later, we met up.
Facebook.
Yeah.
We're really dating us here, showing how old we are.
But yeah, then we met up. We went on our first date, and we hit it off from there. But kind of going back to what we were saying about,
So embarrassing.
we had always talked about we wanted to live in California at some point in our lives, and we even said that we were thinking about just like renting an apartment in the off season and just like live there for a few months. Well, here was this opportunity to go play for the Niners, go play for Kyle Shanahan, who ran the same offense as Gary Kubiak. Being totally upfront, they had the highest money offer as well, or at least tied. So that had a lot to do with it. But I was also just excited about the opportunity of Kyle and John starting fresh, starting new, with two guys that I really respected. Kyle, just because of, everything that he had been doing in Atlanta, and I loved what he was doing with their fullback there. And then John, just because, he's a Hall of Fame football player that knows what we go through on a day-to-day basis. And so it's really cool to work for a guy that has been through what we do and understands what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of led us there.
So just to ask, you must look pretty cute in those pants too.
Oh, yeah.
Must have been the purple ones. Is that? Or...
Yeah, it was all black game. So we were like, I was looking slender. I was moving fast.
Ooh.
I might have even scored a touchdown that game. It was a good game.
I don't remember.
All right. Well, good. I know she appreciates how well you look in your uniform. Let's see. Okay. Then, so 17, and then those years slipped by with the Niners, and just this past March, right? You signed a 5-year extension and set another record for NFL fullbacks. So that's great. We're super happy and very glad that you're around because you make things on the edge a lot easier. And then in 2017, you were the Bill Walsh Award winner. All right, for kind of dedication, expertise, and hard work and all that kind of stuff that stands for. So before we jump into a couple other things, I just kind of curious. So thus far, and I'll make sure John and Kyle, they won't listen to this, I'm sure. But so we'll just go positive though. Like you've already mentioned a couple of things about they're a little bit more nuanced, and I think you said sophisticated, although there's a lot of folks suggesting that we don't practice hard enough, and that's why people get hurt, but that's a whole nother BS story. So, but anyway, what's some of your favorite things about playing with the Niners? I mean, did the California dream kind of prove true for you, and the offense and all those kind of things?
Yeah, honestly, there's a lot of things. Me, like specifically, and what I get to do in our offense is definitely the biggest highlight for me. The fact that I get to have so much fun out there because I'm doing something different every single day. I'm all over the field. I mean, what fullback has taken a snap at center and, or what fullback has gotten the chance to hold for an extra point or a field goal? And they have the faith in me to do that kind of stuff. So I'm just like having so much fun, and I'm genuinely happy to go to work every day because I get to do all these cool, fun things. I have pretty freaking sweet teammates, especially 85. Our locker room's awesome. We have a good time while we're there. And like I spoke before, we're smart in the way we do things. I feel like we're data driven, we're science driven. And that's important to me. I don't believe in just ramming your head into a wall because somebody says do it and thinks that repeatedly doing that is going to get you better. I believe in doing things for a reason and having the data and the science to back it up. And I think that's something that we do. And they take care of us, like it's from nutrition to body maintenance, to all in the weight room, like all that kind of stuff. They really are top of the line. And I feel like I can say that because I do feel like I came from an A1 organization in Baltimore, and we do things better here. And so to come from a good place and go to a place that we do it even better, I think just says so much about the program.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Jed York for putting the money in, investing into his players, like not just signing paychecks, but actually putting money into how we travel, where we stay. I mean, we have to stay in some of the coolest, best hotels. We always have the best food. Like there's nothing to complain about ever. And I hear horror stories from guys, free agents that we bring in. They're like, wow, you guys deal with this every day? And I was like, yeah. And I'm used to it. Like that's all I've known. So I'm like, whoa, like sounds kind of scary out there. Ugh.
I mean, in Baltimore, we had roommates on the road, which like, can you even imagine? Like we've never had to do that. We had to pay for all our massages, all our acupuncture, and any body treatment we did zero at the facility. We had to pay for all of that. Outside of it, cafeteria was not even close to what we have now. There weren't like protein and supplements available to you. Like that was all handled on your own. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I got one more culture shock question for you. What was a bigger culture shock, going to Harvard or going from Baltimore to Santa Clara, California?
It is. They are both definitely culture shocks. And going from Harvard to Baltimore's locker room was a culture shock as well. But I think just because I was a fresh young chicken going from high school where I was just a young kid going to Harvard, that was definitely the biggest culture shock.
Dude, when I went from Iowa and I get to like rookie mini camp or like OTAs, and like I went to Target with Trent Taylor, and I was like, whoa, like incredible. We are the only 2 white people in the entire target. This is crazy. Like, I've never been in a situation like this. I was very Midwestern, but I'm definitely not a minority, and I was instantly a minority, and I did not see that coming at all.
I know it's definitely something you have to get used to.
It is, and I love it here now. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
So then when did the gardening kick in?
I always helped my mom out when I was a little kid in the garden. So like it was always kind of in me. And it was something that I wanted to do, but it wasn't until we moved to California that I had a bigger yard and I had some raised beds and an opportunity to do it. And I'm like, all right, Lynn, why don't I try doing this for myself? And then I just fell in love with it too, because I'm big into food, nutrition, and cooking. And I started reading up, growing your own vegetables and stuff. You have almost 40% more nutrients in those vegetables than what you buy from the store, just because they're not picked so early, and you can, you're eating them right off the vine when they've gotten all their nutrients. And even little things into like the charge of the earth, and when you're touching it with your bare hands and feet, it grounds you and it helps you recover. And like these are just like the little weird things that I think about throughout the day. So like gardening kind of fit in my crazy head. Like gardening makes me a better football player, and that's like a big jump when you just say it like that. But when you break it down and you start thinking about these little things, it's like, okay, maybe that's not like the craziest thing you could say.
Not at all.
No, I think it makes a ton of sense.
And it's kind of a meditative practice.
Right.
What's your favorite vegetable to grow?
I like to grow, I like growing onions the best because we use so many onions. Had a bad season with them right now though. So carrots are like, they always seem to grow great, and we use them a lot as well. So I'm going to say carrots.
Oh,
okay.
What color of onions do you grow?
Always white. I like sweet onions. So those are our go-tos.
All right. And then also you build furniture in the off season. So what did you build this season and why?
So that's an older bio. I did that back in Baltimore, more when I was just single living in Baltimore in the winter and I had nothing to do. So my brothers would do it back in Ohio. So I built a kitchen table that I actually brought out here when we moved here in 2017. It's outside in our cabana now. Actually really proud about it. But I built a kitchen table. I built like a little side table. There was something else I built, but it was kind of like a 2 or 3 year thing that just single guy in Baltimore had nothing else to do. Went to the casino too much. I got to do something else. So let's build some furniture.
Build a kitchen table. Yeah. All right. Very cool. All right.
So let's transition into Kyle. When was the first time that you became aware of George?
First time I became aware of George, truly aware, was an OTA practice, and I want to say it was a red zone practice, and I can't remember exactly what the route was, George, but maybe we don't run Spartan down there, but it was some route that you were in the back of the end zone, and
I know exactly what you're talking about. It was a fake.
You leaped into the sky and made this like one-handed grab. And I was standing back next to Mike McDaniel. I was like, shit, like that was pretty freaking impressive. Like, who is this guy? And he just like started giggling and smiling. He goes, that's my guy. He's like, that's the gem of this class. I'm like, all right, no shit. Now I know who this guy is. Do you know what play I'm talking about, George?
I know exactly what you're talking about, because after that period, you came up to me and you're like, hey man, George, what round you get drafted? And I was like, damn man, that was probably too low. Good play, man. I can't wait to play with you. And I was like, sick.
I'm happy you remember what I'm talking about too. That was my first moment that I was like, oh shit, George Kittle.
That was sick.
All right, George, when was the first time that you kind of recognized or became aware of Juice?
Probably that same play when I said something.
No, I mean, like Juice said, like I mean, from rookie year, like well, first off, Juice's locker is right when you walk in. So like you always see him in his tank top sitting there just doing bicep curls in his locker. I'm kidding. But like he has an energy to him. Like he has a presence and like always polite, always kind, talks to everybody. But like you always like, you notice him right off the rip. I'd say like one of the, times that I really like, when we like kind of gelled was, I couldn't tell the exact play, but like when we ran a Zorro for the first time, or like when we had a nice quad block, we kind of just turned to look to each other. We're like, whoa, that was really nice, dude. Like, it was really nice run plays. And we kind of bonded over the running stuff. And also like because we were both very great friends with Garrett Selleck, and he was kind of a middleman for us. And because he was in the Titan 24/7, and I was a very did not know where I was half the time at my rookie season. So Garrett was like the instrument that kind of kept us all working together. And then, from that, me and Juice became very nice friends. And now we go to Cabo together and golf, and it's a blast. Just a blast.
It's pretty cool. It's also cool that, you point out like one of the first times was us having like a 6 Zorro block. And it just takes me back to literally this past week. I mean, think about it, we've been doing this for 5 years now, doing the same stuff. And we had the sick combo on the past 19 chocolate, where we were just in sync, and we knew what each person was doing, and we handled our business. And right after, we just looked at each other and just like emphatic, like high five, like sort of thing, like it's cool that like, it started as that, and it has grown to even more, but it's the same thing, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, it's been so funny. That past 19 chocolate, man, got 2 guys. We had to block 3 guys with 2 people, and we took care of it.
It was good stuff.
It was super nice.
And
We did. I mean, just turn on the NFC Championship game tape, and that you'll just see outside zone, outside zone, outside zone. And me and Juice were just wrecking shot. That was fun.
That was good stuff.
Well, so besides those plays, are there any other of your favorite NFL stories about each other?
Oh wow.
You know what? I got to give respect to George. It was really cool that when I scored in the Super Bowl, George was the first person there. And I think he was the first person there to celebrate with me. And I think he was more fired up than I was. And I love looking back at the pictures of him just screaming in my face. And then he runs off and goes and gets the ball for me. So I think that just says enough about George, that he could be so happy for me in that moment, and still have the awareness of like, damn, this is a sick moment. He's probably going to want that ball. So appreciate you for that.
Juice, man, I love you for that, dog. Yeah. I get so hyped when the boys score. Yeah, if it's you or Dwelly, dude, I lose my mind.
Yeah. You got to, man. That's what makes it so fun.
Did you see Dwelly when he scored his touchdown? I literally just walked up to him. I slapped him as hard as I could across the face and mask.
No, I didn't see that.
I hit him so hard. I was like, yes.
I love Dwelly's celebration. Just hands out, just like
basking.
What more do you want?
Nothing. Oh my god.
Let's celebrate. That was a heck of a catch. So George, any other Juice story you want to share?
Juice stories? Juice does throw one hell of a Halloween party. I will give him that. Him and his wife set that up for us, and he always just throws down on those Halloween parties. We have a great time with that. Actually, and your Cinco de Mayo parties are fantastic as well too. Yeah, those are just always a good time. I've never not had a good time. New Year's Eve parties, whatever we do, Kyle knows how to party, and I thoroughly enjoy that. Dunkaroos.
4th of July party?
I'm getting there, dog. They introduced me to those in Cabo, and then we brought them out for about 100 of them on 4th of July. That was really fun.
That was fun.
But we have a good time when we hang out. It's definitely a good time. Whether it's on the field, off the field, movie theaters, it doesn't matter. We have a good time.
No doubt.
All righty. Great job, guys. Okay. So entering your 9th season, you have played in a lot of football games, Kyle. So what are a couple highlights or favorite experiences or moments just over the course of your career?
Yeah. It is weird to think about just how many games I've played in. Like I've played in, I think almost triple the amount of college games in the NFL. I played in 40 college games. I think I'm close to 120 now in the NFL. And it's just crazy to even think about, because I still see myself as that young rookie or second year kid that's, 20, 24, 25 and has, a long career ahead of him. I really do still see myself that way. But when I kind of when I look back at my career and like things that really stand out to me, I love the critical situations, it's funny because I'm a fullback, but my favorite moments are like the 2-minute drills that I've been on the field when you're looking at each other. And George knows, we had the past 2 weeks where you're just looking at each other and it's like, guys, we have no other choice but then to go make a play and go score. And there's just something about that moment, especially even night games amplify it. So I'm going to say those night games, or even I played in a couple night playoff games where we're in a 2-minute drill and it's just like your back's against the wall and you have to make a play. Those are by far my favorite situations and moments in the league that I know, hopefully not for a long time, when I retire and I look back, those are the things I'm going to miss on the field. Is just those do or die situations where you have no choice but to go out there and do something big. I live for those moments.
You're right. Those are fun.
Yeah,
Well, very cool. So
They're fun to watch too, guys.
yeah, just the urgency of it and kind of the, live or die with it. It's kind of that thing, it's all right now, all the other work that you put into it for. So, well, which kind of takes us, we're very interested in kind of mental prep. We do a little thing called mindful awareness and performance and all that kind of stuff. And so we're always looking at, how people, because all the weightlifting and the training and the skill work and all that kind of stuff and practice, it's all good. But I think I've heard a lot, and you guys will probably talk about it. There's the mental aspect of playing in the NFL and playing at a high level. And you've been doing this now 9th season. So you've got something figured out about that. So just wondering, kind of in the mental prep world, we talk about affirmations, visualization, meditation, breath work. There's all kinds of approaches to some of this stuff. So kind of over the course of your career, doing, what has worked for you? What have you learned about it? What's one of the key tools that keeps your kind of mind straight and focused in the midst of the battle?
Yeah. You know what? I'm a big note taker. So all throughout the week, I'm taking notes on anything that's new or different about the game plan, anything that would take any little bit of extra thought. I write that down. And when I write something down, that crystallizes my thought. And once it's written on my brain. And I don't know what it is about when I write it with a pen, like I don't forget it. And so all through the week, I keep they're almost like messy notes throughout the week. But then on Friday and Saturday, I go through and I refine it and I make it very, very clean. And I have it broken down by run game, pass game, routes, protections, scouting report of like personnel. And I've done that literally since high school. I used to keep note cards in high school on whoever we were playing and different plays that we were running that week. And so that's always been really strong for me, and being able to write it out. And before we go out for kickoff, I open up my notebook and I look at all my notes. And I have all the notes on the left. On the right, I draw out any of the plays that I have a chance to touch the ball. I like touching the ball. And so any play that I think I have a good chance, I write it out so that I can start visualizing. All right, here's your opportunities today. These are the plays that you have the best chance. And then I have the openers sheet next to me as well, where we have our first 24 plays. And I go through and I underline anything that pertains to me, motions, different formations. I always write my route, who I have as my blocking assignment for each play. And so writing things has been kind of my thing throughout my career.
We do the same for that on Saturday nights. Get that play at 24.
Yep.
I got blue pen. that whole thing is just notes.
I just go to town on it, man. And it's just something, even if it's like something I already know, it's just when I write it, it's there. And I'll, when I'm out on the field, like if I have any doubt, I'm like, it was written in my notebook, so it must be right. So I just go with it.
And just when you talk about visualizing, I mean, during the week, do you do kind of visualization of the game and or executing a play or technique or catching a ball, or like, do you mind just share with us a little bit about kind of your visualization practice throughout the week and like what exactly maybe that includes?
Yeah. Usually when it comes down to like a specific route, or George, like if we're running like a skate technique, or we have like slides from the I formation, like I like to, usually it's on Fridays, like while the defense is getting their reps, I kind of go in the back there, and I'll run that route or whatever it is in both directions, just so that my body can like feel it. And I'll do it a couple of times until it feels right. And like, I mean, I can just like, if I'm running like a stick nod, I'm just kind of like, it might not look like it to other people, but in my head, like I'm over there running a stick nod, even if it's not like the full thing. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I do a little bit of that towards the end of the week to just kind of finalize it for, Sunday.
Okay. All right. Very cool. All right, Ben.
And would you say that Woodsy has been a part of your mental prep also?
Woodsy just grounds me and makes everything better. And she's the happiest, fluffiest little dog in the world. I should probably.
Yeah.
Woodsy, come here. Come here. Come here. Oh my goodness, she's a sleepy baby. Let me get her. Come here. Oh.
Hey, Deanie.
Deanie, look, it's Mutzi.
Hi, girls.
Look.
Hi, Deanie. Now, Mutzi, honestly, this little girl is like, I was not a dog guy at all my entire life. I actually didn't like dogs at all. I was a cat guy. But
That explains so much.
Explains a lot, doesn't it?
Oh,
Oh man, that's just
But I have such an appreciation for dogs now that we have mozzarella. She's the best.
Did you know that it was mozzarella, or did Kristen's family teach you that?
I definitely said mozzarella my whole life. We call her Mutzi, and my siblings still think it's Motzi, just because that's how we always said mozzarella.
Hey, I said that. I go visit him for the 4th of July, and I said Motzi. And Claire, Kristin, and Kyle all looked at me and they go, "What did you just say?" And I said Mutzi, I swear. My bad.
That was the first time that I've heard it ever said like that, when Kristin was telling us what you guys named your dog.
Really?
We were like, Mutz? Yeah, so.
Yeah, that was a learning experience for me when I got introduced to her family. Mozzarella.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the fashion segment. So super excited. We have the fabulous Kristin in the house. So Kristin's a little fashionista of the Niners herself, but we really want to take a look into the key influences for putting together your wardrobe on game day, Kyle. Definitely want to talk to Kristin about how she has helped and influenced you, and even share a little bit of your own style on game day, Kristin.
Sure. Where should I even begin?
Basically, any of the good outfits I wear are put together by Kristin, and anything that's questionable was probably my own choosing.
Very true. Very, very true. I've always loved clothes. I was a fashion merchandise major in college with a business major, so I always wanted to go into fashion. Growing up in New York, like every girl wants to go to FIT and work in fashion. That's just like how we all, are bred over there. So I've always loved it. And dressing Kyle for game days is so fun, except sometimes he like fights me on some things.
I don't like trying things on.
And I'm very visual.
George is with me.
I was like, I need to see it on you. He'll like hold up a t-shirt and like hold up a pair of shoes. And I'm like, I need to see it on you. But it's been really fun to be able to, wear some things that he normally would never wear. It's game day. It's fun to dress a little out of your comfort zone.
It's cool that we have like a platform to do that too.
Exactly.
So your game days, has it changed over the years from shirts, suits, jeans, and a nice shirt?
Even to like single Kyle to marry, or to just Kyle with Kristin.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I feel like I need to send you guys some pictures.
A lot has changed.
Well, Kyle's body has changed so much, honestly, since we've been together. When I first met you, you were a lot heavier than you are now.
Yeah, we dove into this.
I feel like throughout the years, his jeans have gotten skinnier and skinnier throughout the years. And he used to wear like a lot of boxy clothes. Now you wear a lot more like form-fitting clothes.
Definitely. And in Baltimore, we had to wear suits on game day.
Yeah.
So I always wear suits.
And the best part about it is he still has them. And the other day he wanted to wear a suit to the game and we pulled out a suit. And I was like, I've never seen this suit. You should put it on. It was massive. On you. It looked like not yours.
No, it looked like Trent Williams handed me a jacket,
Sorry, our dog is crying in the background. She's not very happy.
That's okay. Well, Kristin, what's the craziest thing you've ever put juice in?
Ooh. Probably a disco outfit in the past disco. That's true. I came home with these shoes. Kyle comes down, the day of the party. He's like, so what am I wearing? And I'm like, I got you. I bought you these massive platform shoes with fish in the heel. And I was so shocked that he didn't fight me on it. You were like,
no, I was all for it. Disco's fun.
Yeah, disco is one of our favorite themes. We had a big disco party a few years ago, and then Kyle Shanahan threw a big disco party. So we're lovers of the disco theme around here.
Yeah, impressive. And if you guys haven't seen their photos, definitely follow them on Instagram and check it out. And Kristin, you've started sewing your own clothing.
I did. So, growing up, I always had this weird hobby. My mom and I would go to Joann's Fabric and we would buy fabric and make pillows. It was just something that we always did together. So I always kind of knew how to use a sewing machine. And then for some reason, every Halloween, I whip out the sewing machine again and I make a custom costume. And I'm always just like, I put the sewing machine away after that. And then it comes back out on Halloween. And this year I was like, I should really start using this more. I could make a lot of cool stuff because there's only so much 49er gear, that you can wear throughout. And it's fun. It's so fun for me to dress up for the games. I mean, I've always loved fashion and it's just a fun way to be creative. And I love sewing. So I've been having so much fun, but definitely put a lot of pressure because now everyone's like, I can't wait to see what you create for the next game. And I was like, oh shoot, I'm over my head on this one.
Well, let's see, because 2 weeks ago you made those. They were like homemade sweats, right? Weren't they?
Everybody kept asking me who the Raiders fan was, though.
I know. I got a lot of comments.
Oh, I honestly didn't even think about that.
Yeah, they're like, "What's with the Raider colors?" And I was like, you know what? I was working with what I got, but
I loved them. Those are great. I mean, I feel like those are things that you could like frame and put up next to Kyle's jerseys. Like Kyle's jersey.
Well,
That's actually a cool idea.
They already have a hole in it, so.
No.
At least it didn't happen at the game, though.
You have a sewing machine.
I was so nervous at the game that they were going to fall apart.
You kept talking about it because there was a little thread string, and you're like, I think it's unraveling, and then you're like, your leg, and you're like, is it holding or not holding? Like, oh.
Exactly. There's so much I still need to learn. I was even like looking up taking like a college course. I'm so into it now, so I want to learn. And there's so many different types of stitches. And I just do like the regular single stitch. And I don't know if that's what you're technically supposed to use, what keeps it together. So there's so much technicality behind it that I don't really know. So YouTube is my best friend. I just learn everything on YouTube.
You guys are such homebodies. Your husband's a gardener and
I'm a sewer.
Holy cow.
We live in Santa Clara. There's not a lot going on here.
Prairie, indeed.
To be completely honest, and a lot of my home friends make fun of me for this, Kyle has so many hobbies. And I'm always so jealous. Like, I need a hobby. You have so many hobbies. He's always like gardening or listening to space podcasts or, so into crypto. Yeah. And I'm always there just like sitting and watching Netflix. So I'm like, I need a hobby. And I finally found one. So now I'm so happy I found a hobby.
That's awesome.
All right. Would you show us some game day swag for this weekend or maybe not, but are you going to show some shoes or what do you got for us?
No, actually this hoodie, this is a, Kristin has her own clothing company, Origin.
It's a little sneak peek. You guys are getting the sneak peek.
They haven't been released yet, but I'll zoom in. There's a skeleton holding a juice box.
Oh.
And on the sleeve, it says fresh squeezed.
Yeah.
You see on the back.
It says juice was worth the squeeze.
Chris. Okay,
So this is our little-
about Origin.
This is our little side project we did over the summer. With Origin, I've been really trying to, create my own clothes, and we wanted to do a little side project to create a hoodie that his fans would his fans would buy in support of Juice, but then people who also don't know football would think, that's just a cool design. So that's kind of what we were working with. We got a red one for the 49ers, and then we got a blue one just because I like the color blue.
Are you going to wear that to a game? Is that a game thing or not necessarily?
I'll wear it. I don't know if
Can you wear it?
I will wear it to one of the games, but I don't know if she's ready for the official release.
Yeah, we're not sure when.
Well, once our podcast comes out with the millions and thousands of followers,
yes,
your website might crash.
No doubt about it. At the Origin
I
shop.
hope you've got plenty printed because your sales are just going to go through the roof.
Well, if anybody wants to check it out, we'll have all of Kristin's stuff linked in the show notes. You guys can click on that and follow her. Chop your little hearts out.
And then, Chris, do you have a little sneak preview of your Sunday apparel?
You know what you're doing?
I have no idea. I don't even know if I'm going to the game just yet, actually. We're still trying to figure that out, but it will be a last minute thing because I have absolutely no idea what I will be wearing.
Yeah, you're too busy hosting.
We're throwing a boot camp class tomorrow with all the Niner ladies. So I've just kind of been focusing on that. And that's where we're at. I don't know what I'm wearing just yet. It'll be a surprise.
Cool.
You should go. I just got my plane ticket, so I'm going.
Yeah, I should go.
Georgie, what do you got for us?
What do I have for you? Wow. Funny you should ask.
Okay.
I got my. I just actually got these out of the box. They've been in a box for a while. These are some Travis Scott Jordans.
Those are fire.
Those are
Wow.
It's spooky season. Halloween is upon us. My birthday's coming up, so got to really embrace the spooky season. And just a fan of the tan and the orange. Also, anytime you get some Travis Scotts out, they're very. I'm a big fan of them. I just get a little swagger when I wear these. So I think these might be my game day my game day swag.
cleats. we could slap some cleats on there.
Yeah, we can slap something on
Actually,
there.
those would look sick if those had cleats.
I know, right, dude? DJ Jones wears like 3 different types of Jordan 1s with cleats on them, and they're so. I got to get into that, but it's also I got a zipper here, so I can put stuff in there.
Halloween candy.
I can put my my Halloween candy in here. Oh, look, there's actually stuff in here. Look, it's a little what it is. But yeah, I got tricks in here. You never know. I got some tricks and treats.
Nice.
I love it. Those are sick.
Your birthday would be on Halloween.
My birthday is this Saturday. I'll be in Arizona celebrating.
How old, George? 28?
28.
Wow.
I'm catching up the juice.
So you're getting there.
Yeah, you are.
Catching it. Feeling good.
Any shirt picked out yet, or will that be later in the week?
I do just shoes, man. That's my thing.
All right, we don't want to
Just pick shoes.
All right. Well, Kristin, anything that you want to add before we wrap up our fashion segment on Juice, on Origin, on anything?
I don't know. Go 49ers. We love our Kittles. And I don't know. I'm so bad at this stuff, guys.
What's the key to a good male game day outfit?
Ooh. Shoes are huge for guys.
Definitely.
It's definitely the shoe game. And I think it's all about the fit.
I couldn't agree more.
How it actually fits you.
On our last podcast, Mercedes said he was talking about fashion, and he's like, when I leave the house, he's like, or what did he say, George? He's like, everyone will know my silhouette. He's like, he's just very focused on his silhouette and like keeping it consistent.
Yeah, if I get invited to dinner, or if I get invited to go to the movies, if I get invited to go out, people they just know what I'm going to look like before I even show up. I walk through the door and I have my sneakers, jeans, jacket. I always look the same, and no matter it's all different, but it's all looks very similar. I was like, that's a hell of a way to think about it.
Yeah.
He's got a uniform.
I liked Trent Williams told me the other day. He likes to feel expensive on game day. I said, I like that, Trent. That's good.
Okay.
All right. Well, Kristin, thank you for being on our podcast. I hope to have you back on soon.
For sure. I love it. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Well, let's roll in. We're going to do just a little bit of football, and maybe not too much because everybody kind of knows where we're at. Niners are 2-2. Last Sunday, lost to the Seahawks in a tough one. Cards come in at 4-0, beat the Rams last week 37-20. Teams have played 59 times, with the Niners leading the series 32-27. Niners have won 3 of the last 4, but Cards have won 9 of the last 12. Who cares about old history, though, right? All right, then also Cards come in number 1 in the NFL in total points scored and yards per game. Both teams have sacked QB 9 times. And interceptions, though, Cards have 4 and Niners have 1. That's as much stats as I thought anybody could handle. So anything, what do you guys, I know you're not going to say anything that's of any value anyway, but who might we be looking for? Who have you seen on tape that you think for the Cardinals is people that maybe we should watch for as you guys are reloading and moving on from the Seahawks to go down to Arizona?
Go ahead, George.
For me, I mean, like the 2 obvious ones, you got Budda Baker and Chandler Jones are the 2 obvious. They're the guys that we've played the most my entire career. Getting a battle against Chandler Jones with his go-go gadget and extender arms. And like, you can't touch him because his arms are so long. And then he's also the freakiest athlete you'll ever see out there. So, I mean, like, that's just a challenge in itself going against him and all the things. Cause I mean, he had all last year off because I think he tore his tricep or something like that. And so I know he's ready to be playing again, and he's looked great. And then Budda Baker's just everything you want in a football player. Engines roaring every single play. Doesn't matter if it's play 1 or play 80, play 13 of a drive. Like, he's going to bring it all every single play. And you got to appreciate going against someone like that. And so I'm excited for that. I'm excited to play against J.J. Watt. I don't know if I've never played him because I think when we played the Texans, he was out that one game. So it'd be kind of cool to see him on the field. I don't know. Other than that, though, it's the Cardinals, and we got to get after them a little bit. Last on the field.
No doubt about that. And I think you're exactly right. I think Budda Baker and Chandler Jones, in my opinion, are I honestly, like, I would say they're the best at each of their positions because they're so unique in what they do. Chandler Jones is such a unique player, and so is Budda Baker. And you always have your hands full when you have to deal with Budda's motor. He's everywhere. But another good player I have a lot of respect on their defense is Byron Murphy. He's a really good safety as well. And we're going to have to be ready to roll, George.
Yes, sir, we are. I know, I'm excited
for the challenge, though.
We don't get a lot, because Tuesdays you don't really see anything except for the tape that you have or if your coach sent you something. But, like, you're rolling up on Wednesday with a new game plan. It's always fun. I always go to bed excited. Like, let's get this going. Like, it's nothing you knew about last week except move on and go to the next one. And hey, we have just as good as opportunity to win as they do. So let's ride, baby.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I love to remember or remind not only the fans, but even our own team when we see everybody tomorrow, George, is that the NFL is such a week to week league. Everything completely changes every week. And it does not matter whatsoever that they have the number 1 offense and Kyler Murray's on pace for 6,000 yards passing. That stuff can change so quickly. And it's really a week by week, and anybody can beat anybody. So I'm excited. I know the last 2 games have been tough, but they really haven't wavered my confidence whatsoever in this team. So I'm ready to just get back to work tomorrow.
Well, it is that way. And I know fans are a little restless, but in reality, with some of the injuries that we've had and kind of the reshuffling, the team's still kind of getting their identity put together and all that kind of stuff. So I guess if you just believe in doing the work each day and trying to get a little bit better and everybody keeps pulling, some of those pieces will start to fit together, and hopefully a lot more of those pieces will all fit together down in Phoenix. So that'll be exciting. So, okay. We will wrap up then. That's plenty of football. Everybody can read all the stuff online, whatever. So Juice, we are real big. Our motto is sharing the untold stories of the people and communities impacted by social and environmental injustice, in addition to some football. And so we appreciate your story. And so just wondered a little bit if you can talk to us about kind of the role of, I don't know, community service, giving back or whatever, either growing up, high school, college, or whatever. And then, with the Niners, I know you've done Cause for Cleats. You did some breast cancer research stuff and a few other things. So just wonder if you can just kind of share with us kind of some of the things you've been interested in, that the role of kind of giving back in your life.
Yeah, my biggest thing has been youth sports in general. It doesn't have to be football; it's youth sports, and it's so important to me. And I feel like it's such an impactful time on people's lives and in these young child's lives is in their youth sports. Because I can speak from it from my own perspective, and just how impactful my high school coaches were, my middle school coaches, my mentors at that time, how much I looked up to people, and what a huge difference it made on my path in being able to be involved in youth sports, and how it developed me and my character and made me the person who I am. So I just think that youth sports are so important. And I think that all kids should be involved in something of that nature, some sort of organization. So I try to help out with that as much as possible. With the Niners, every week I announce the high school coach of the week, and we give donations to those schools for their programs. And there's been a few off seasons that I've had the chance to host my own youth football camp back in Ohio, where I grew up. And COVID has kind of derailed that the past 2 years, but I'm excited to hopefully do it again this summer.
If you need any spare coaches, you can give me a call.
Don't make me hold you to that, 'cause I will.
Don't hold me to it. I said you can call me. Doesn't mean
But
I'm always
been involved in the NFL's Play 60 or whatever that is.
Yep, yeah, I've gotten involved with that as well, and it's cool because it's genuinely fun for me, and I also think I'm making a huge impact. So it's good for everybody.
All right, we'll stay active and help youth do the same. But you're really true there. If you look back on it, for those who did participate in really any kind of high school extracurricular activities, but I mean, for all of us, it was sports. The people that we had an impact on, sometimes it wasn't as positive as you'd like, but there were some people along the way that no doubt totally transformed your life. At least for me, they did. And so I certainly understand that. And it's a very formidable time for those folks. So, okay. And you want to shoot us down the last one as we wrap.
All right, Juice, as we wrap up. So what we like to finish on is a little bit of hope. So in your life, kind of over the lessons that you've learned from even little mozzarella, dancing around in the background, where is the hope? Like, what are one or two things that just give you hope and fill you with joy?
Yeah. You know what? I try to always focus on the positive things in everything. And I get hope from that, and just always trying to focus on the good in everything, and just not wasting our time on all the negativity that's out there, and how quickly people are to put each other down. I try to emphasize it in my life, and even in just like things I post on social media. I'm never going to go out there and post something negative. I'm never going to respond to the negativity. I'm just always trying to preach positive. So that gives me hope for a positive future.
Kyle, you are truly one of the kindest people I think I've ever met. And I feel so welcome and happy and calm when I'm with you and Kristin. And that is, the more people that I meet and am around, like, that is not a normal thing. And so I
appreciate you saying that.
Kindness is a superpower. Georgie, what do you got?
What I got for us this week? What gives me hope? Let's see. Well, that was kind of fun, Kyle. I think I tried to do the similar thing of just looking at everything as positive. Oh, there's somebody's at my front door. Hi, Dean. Let's see. Give me 1 second.
Now Mutsy's barking. What is it?
Come here. What are you doing? Come here. Hi. Let's see. What gives me hope? When you lose back-to-back football games, it's always tough. Like, it's tough. You want to, because the best thing you can do is like get back on the practice field, and back practice and get back to work. But like just being in the building today, like guys are excited for this week. You kind of already feel that, and you can always tell too, like when guys care by the amount of people that are in the building on the Tuesday. Like when there's the usual like 8 guys that are always going to be doing rehab stuff or always taking care of their bodies, always working out. Like, all right, like those are our core guys. But like when you have 30 to 40 guys, and then throughout the whole day, and especially like guys that everyone that plays, like you see all the starters there, you see guys that are on special teams there, guys that make plays. When you see all those guys, it definitely like, all right, like our mindsets, we're here to get better. We're here to make sure our bodies are ready to go for this week, because like you said, every week is different. So when you see that, it definitely just gives you hope, and that no matter the outcome of the last week, or no matter what you're dealing with, as long as you're around the right people and with the like-minded mindsets, you always push through anything. So that's what's giving me hope today. I thoroughly enjoyed seeing all my two teammates, and I did see Juice in a tank top today. Or was that last night? I did.
You did. I can confirm that.
Well, very cool. Well, thanks for sharing. I shared this with George just because, anytime Niners get a little blip on the screen, we get into a 2-game thing, it is challenging because that's not where you want to be, and you want to be right up there. So pulled out a quote this week, and just something for us to think about, just about the way in which we respond when life doesn't go, because we can't always handle or we can't always control what happens to us. All we have is how we respond to it, So this is from Helen Keller. She says, character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, the vision cleared, ambition inspired, and success achieved. And so it's in those moments when we really get tested and we're not getting what we want and things aren't going our way, that we have a chance to really refine, who we are, how we're going to show up, and where we're going to go in life. So we're certainly not at any kind of crisis or edge of the cliff kind of thing with the Niners, but we're a little off course and we want to get it back on track. And so it's great to know that everybody's in the building working hard, and accept these things as opportunities to grow and to learn and to get stronger and to be better. And so as long as we keep in the right framework, we're in good shape. So, all right, well, Juice, really appreciate it. Thank you. It was really good to hear more of your story, and your lovely wife was with us. I get the pleasure of seeing her every game. So that's always fun. And she's always so friendly to me. And I'm always like watching my binoculars, not paying any attention to her. And she's still was very kind of me. So tell her I appreciate that. So thank you. Georgie, good to see you. Emmy, any last words? Anything else?
No, thank you so much, guys.
All right.
Yeah, thank you guys. I had a good time.
All right. We'll have a great week of practice, and can't wait to see all you guys in Arizona.
All right. We'll see you this weekend. George, see you tomorrow.
See you, dogs. See you guys.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
All right, I like it. Show us the guns a little bit. Give me a little.
Oh,
Come on. Come on. Show the horns. That's what the horns are about.
The horns. The horns up.
Oh, I never did a horns up. Everything was horns down, but now that's incorrect. So, all right. Whatever.
You know what? I don't think anybody's actually offended by that plays, or probably even fans. I don't know why they did that. Just let them do it. I like it. I like a little negative energy. It's nice.
It's like, that's how, whatever. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, action! All right, let's roll.
okay, everybody. This week we are very excited to have as our guest.
Wait. He's got his UT helmet on the man.
Oh, I saw it. Are you on the Wheaties box behind you?
Of course.
Oh, this is awesome. I might need a picture of this. I need like a picture of the mantle.
It was never for sale. It was, I went and spoke at General Mills in Minneapolis, and they gave it to me as a gift.
Oh, that's cool.
You don't have to tell us that. You probably sold 100,000 of them. No, man, it's all good.
They sold one to me.
That's good.
All right. Well, everybody, this is Nate. Nate Boyer is the MVP founder, a former Green Beret and former Seattle Seahawk, and also played for UT, as we are going to hear about. But before we get started with Nate, we want to honor the 6 Arizona National Guard members who we have sponsored and are attending this week's Niners versus Cardinals game. This week, with the Niner game being played in Arizona, we have been working with the Arizona National Guard to find our 6 veterans to attend the Niners versus Cardinal game. We want to thank Command Sergeant Major Chris Llewellyn of the Arizona National Guard for helping us with this effort, along with CSM Curtis Hayes of the California National Guard, who helped us with this connection. As always, the National Guard staff were super professional and on time and at their best. So thank you so much for helping us. And let's introduce them.
So of the 6 people, we just let the state guy or person pick a team leader. So this week's team leader for our 6 attendees is First Staff Sergeant Richard Soto. So his bio, just so we want to just take one of the 6 people attending and give him a little bit of thanks. So Soto joined the Arizona Army National Guard in 2001 upon completion of basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and AIT at Fort Gordon, Georgia, as a 25L. No idea what that is, but anyway, he was assigned as a cable systems installer maintainer to 180th Field Artillery in Mesa, Arizona. From 2005 to 6, Soto was deployed with Headquarters Battery, 1st Battalion, 180th Field Artillery in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom as a communications specialist. Upon return from deployment, Soto worked as the primary agency program coordinator for Operation Jumpstart from 07 to 08. He served as a full-time technician with the USPFO as an accounting technician from 08 to 2011. 2009 and 10, Soto was deployed to Kosovo with the 160th Finance Department as an information management officer, terminal area security officer in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. In March 2011, as staff sergeant, he was selected to enter the AGR program as a non-career recruiter. Upon completion, in August of 2011, Soto was assigned to the Team Sun Devils and Bravo Company Recruiting and Retention BN. From April 2017 to May 2019, he was the NCOIC for Team Roadrunners before moving to Team Sun Devils in June of 2019. He's been there to May of 2021. He currently resides in Phoenix, Arizona with his wife, Stephanie, their 4 children, Elias, Candace, Camelia, and Ava. And he's the acting 1st Staff Sergeant of Bravo Company Recruiting and Retention BN. So that is our team leader for this week. And the other members joining him is 1st Sergeant Ruiz, Staff Sergeant West, Staff Sergeant Barraza, Sergeant 1st Class Taylor, and Sergeant de la Pena. So we want to say thank you to them for their service, and we hope they enjoy the game. And we very much appreciate our partnership with the National Guard teams that are helping us. So thank you very much.
All right, let's bring it back to Nate.
All right.
So like we said, can't wait for you guys to really see Nate in this vibe that he's putting off. But Nate is a former American football long snapper and United States Army Green Beret. He is also an occasional actor. After serving 6 years and multiple tours for the Army in both Iraq and Afghanistan, Nate played college football as a walk-on at the University of Texas, despite never having played a down of organized football in his life. He was signed by the Seattle Seahawks as an undrafted free agent in 2015. Nate is also one of the founders of MVP, along with Jay Glazer, and is actively involved in that organization and its outreach to veterans, as well as other charitable activities. So Nate, so great to have you here with us. Appreciate you taking your time, wearing your cutoff, and sharing your story with us and your involvement with MVP. So,
thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. All right. So we know that you originally grew up in the Bay Area, but for this show, where are you at today?
Today I'm in Los Angeles, California, actually, down in LA now. I appreciate you guys hosting me last week. Got to go to a Niners Seahawks game. So I grew up in the Bay, not a huge Niner fan. And so I'm torn whenever I watch the Niners play the Hawks, because I know some of the guys, buddies that I play with on the Hawks, but like, it's tough when your heart's always, been with a certain team. So especially being in San Fran for the game, like, I was pulling for the Niners, but it was a tough loss, but it was good. They're competing. They're right there. They're close.
Yeah, well, close almost gets you, where. But anyway, that's another story. Yeah, clearly some stuff that they could clean up and all that kind of thing. So they're working on it. We'll now they're heading into the red hot Cardinals, undefeated, leading the NFC West. So it'll be a great challenge for him. So, but anyway, glad you guys got to go. And I think you took your brother to the game. Is that right?
Yeah, I took my little brother. So he still lives up there. Yeah, he's in Redwood City, a little south of San Francisco. And it was cool. It's actually, I've been to one other game, I think 3 years ago in that stadium against the Bears. And that's the only other time. So that was only my second time there. I did have a tryout with the Niners before I signed with the Hawks in 2015. So I got to go up to the facility, and went through workouts, and they looked at me for, the snap and stuff, but didn't end up offering me because I would have went there. There would have been no question. But
well, it would have been full circle.
Missed ops on their end, clearly.
Yeah, exactly.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Okay. So you grew up in the Bay Area. Is your family originally from California?
Now, well, my parents, my mom's from Denver. My dad is from Oregon, Southern Oregon, but he's a racehorse veterinarian. So he worked at Golden Gate Fields. It's a racetrack that's out in the Berkeley area. So I grew up in a town called El Cerrito. It's right between Berkeley and Richmond, mostly there. And yeah, he worked there. He just retired last year, actually. Worked there for, much of his life. So I grew up kind of on the backside of the racetrack there. And then when I was a kid, we had the dynasty, 5 Super Bowls from the year I was born until I was, 12 years old or so. So I was very fortunate as a young fan, to have, to follow the team, with Montana, Rice, Ronnie Lott, Roger Craig, Tom Rathman, Brent Jones. I mean, they were awesome. I don't know if George has talked to Brent Jones, but he should. There's an old school tight end for you. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. No, they actually, the Niners have done a really good job. I won't mention any previous administrator or, coaches and all that, but there was a disconnect, for a while, a bit before, but Shanahan and company, one of the very first things they did is they kind of reconnected with a lot of the legacy guys and have them around quite a bit, actually. I think it's been a really cool component, especially when George was first coming into the league, as a rookie and, draft choice and all that kind of stuff, having a chance to sit with Jerry Rice and Brett Jones and a few of those guys, to have them be around. And they have them in every now and then to talk about just, what it was like and that kind of stuff as they were trying to get the program turned around. So they've done a really good job with that.
That's so smart. I mean, that's something that they do really, most college coaches do a good job of, or try to emphasize, is like getting the alumni back to practices, obviously on the sidelines for games. When you're playing a football game, and like, even though it's different sports at Texas, you got like Roger Clemens and Kevin Durant on the sideline at your game. Like, that's special. You know what I mean? It means a lot. So it's really smart. It's cool to do that. I'm glad that Shanahan's doing that.
Yeah.
So are you buddies with Matthew McConaughey now?
No, I mean, I've met
on the
him
drum.
a few times.
Did he let you bang on his drum?
Yeah. I've hung with him a few times. He's hilarious, man. He's awesome. He's a good dude, but I wouldn't say I'm not in his, he doesn't have my number. Let's just say that,
He might after this show, man. He might after this show.
That's true. He's a good dude though. He does a lot for, city of Austin. He's a big supporter of the Longhorns as well. And he's just a fun guy to be around, man. He's definitely out there though. He is way out there.
He is out there. I don't know. So just for folks that are interested, his book, I think it's called Red Light, Green Light. If you haven't read it, it's a really interesting kind of, tells his own story, but along the way, a lot of life lessons and that kind of things about things. He's actually has a fairly mindful approach to pieces and very deliberate with some of his choices. So he's a very interesting component that way. Very cool.
Well, so besides your brother, do you have any other siblings?
Yeah, I got a sister as well. So my brother's the youngest. I'm the oldest. My sister's in the middle. And she lives in the Bay Area as well. She's up in Santa Rosa. Still, horses are very much part of her life. She lives up there she's got a couple kids and her husband, and they have a couple of horses up there they look after, besides doing their day jobs and stuff. And so my niece and nephew have quite a charmed life. It's to grow up around animals like that. It's a special thing. It's really cool. So they're awesome. They're actually coming out next weekend. I'm going to meet them in Austin for the Texas-Oklahoma State game. My little nephew, never been to a Longhorn game, and he's been a fan since he was a baby, because I was just finishing up there when he was born. So that'll be a cool experience.
That's awesome. So do you cowboy? I feel like you could cowboy.
I don't regularly, but yeah, I can make it work. I figure it out. I do like to ride. I do like to ride horses. It is fun. I haven't done it much lately, but ride horses, shoot guns, drink beer, eat meat.
Texas.
All that stuff's fun. Yeah.
Okay. So of your three siblings, which one's the toughest then?
My sister.
Yeah,
she's tough. She's tough. She's blunt. She tells you how it is. And she's like probably the most loyal person I know.
That's awesome.
Sorry, Phil. That's my brother.
You get to go to the Niners game though.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what was the hardest / best lesson that your family taught you?
And then can I just interject? So when I was reading your stuff and we were prepping for this, I was kind of reading through your website, and you were talking about the cap letter that you wrote, with all the kneeling and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if this fits in there or not, but it just the great thing about having a parent that maybe sees things from a big perspective, it sounds like she's that kind of person, but she talked to you a little bit about the world doesn't need any more hate as kind of a cautionary. I don't know if she edited the letter and all that, but just as a way of kind of grounding you before you wrote it. And I thought the letter was really insightful that as well. So if folks haven't seen that, refer you out. We'll have links to Nate's stuff in our show notes and all that. But anyway, I just wanted to offer that. I thought that was a pretty cool commentary on your mom and at least her perspective on a lot of things. So, but anyway, aside from that, and maybe that's not it, but any other big lessons from the family?
No, I think that that's a good one. I mean, both of them, they definitely have their opinions. You know, they have their beliefs as it pertains to faith and, you know, of course, politics, like all of us, or whatever that thing is. But they also are really open-minded people, and they love to just listen and get people's perspective. And, you know, they may tell you how they feel, they may not, but they just have that awareness. And I think a lot of that's from, you know, they grew up in, my mom grew up, Denver is a city, but it's a lot different than the Bay Area. You know, it's a little slower pace and a little more, I mean, you're living in the mountains, you know, and my dad grew up in a small town in Southern Oregon. So they kind of had different sensibilities that they came from. And then moving to a place like the Bay Area, you know, and around, like, my mom finished her PhD at Berkeley, or got her PhD at Berkeley in environmental science. So she's a very smart lady, but also kind of ahead of her time as far as there wasn't a lot of women working in that field at the time, you know, and I was just a baby. But like, that's a big culture shock from where they grew up. You know, it's a very different area, but they sort of just kind of fit right in, made it, you know, make it work, and you know, pick your parts of whatever community you're in that makes sense for you and that you jive with, and then just go with the flow, you know. And I think that's definitely helped me a lot with just going with the flow as life, you know, takes you certain places. And you of course have an intent with anything that you're doing, but it's not always up to you. Like, you got to kind of listen to the universe, and it'll send you in certain ways, you know, and they've helped me a lot with that.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just maybe paraphrase that or reframe it a little bit. Just the idea of being genuinely curious about the world and the people in it, and not taking everything so personal. You know what I mean? Just like letting people be where they are, and then trusting, you know, the flow and the energy flow will take you where you need to get to. But yeah, well, it's pretty cool. So a little bit of tolerance, some acceptance, kind of general curiosity. So, well, that's very cool. And what's your mom's name?
My mom's name's Laura.
Laura,
and my dad's name's Steve. So,
all right. Well, Laura and Steve, thank you very much for those lessons shared. All right, we're good. All right. Well, let's jump in. So you graduated high school then out in the Bay Area. What year was that?
1999, back in the 1900s, you know, long time ago.
Well, talk to me about 1900s, though. Anyway, all right. So graduated, and then I got you eventually earning your Green Beret in December 2006. So somewhere in there, you decided to enlist. And can you tell us a little bit about that journey and kind of what happened?
Yeah, I didn't join right away. You know, 9/11 happened when I was 20 years old. I was actually living here in Los Angeles. After high school, I moved to San Diego for a bit, worked on a fishing boat, kind of did some odd jobs. Same thing up here in LA. I was interested in film and television at the time, but wasn't really pursuing it. Just kind of moved up here, and you know, I had some interesting gigs. Though I was working with autistic kids for a bit of that time, and but then 9/11 happened, and I kind of thought about the military, but didn't sign up, didn't enlist yet, because I didn't really know what I would do. And as things progressed, eventually, you know, 2-3 years later, we're not only fully involved in Afghanistan, we're now going to Iraq, and, you know, the surge is happening, and a lot of people are signing up, and a lot of my friends are like graduating college and kind of starting their life, and I never went to college. So it just sort of made sense for me. I'd started like considering it a little bit more, and then I was just like, God, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I have it in me. And then I went on a trip to, I went to the Darfur in Sudan in 2004, end of 2004, and did some volunteer work over there, you know, sort of in the midst of a genocide, and it completely changed my life. You know, it just, how generous those people were, people that just had nothing, and were in the middle of a war-torn place. And I just felt like they deserved to have, you know, people fighting for them, someone to fight for them. And came back home and learned about what they do in the special forces, the Army Special Forces, where there's an element of humanitarian work involved in what we're doing as well. And it just kind of was a good fit. So that's what I had in my mind, that I was going to be a Green Beret, and kind of set my sights on that and signed up with that contract, and then went through the training which took almost 2 years to complete before earning my Green Beret.
Okay. All right. And any what'd you discover about yourself in that process? I mean,
A
because
lot.
you just like, a minute and a half ago, you were like looking at the military, but not sure you had it in you. And then throughout that process and a couple trips, now you're signing up not just for the Army, but Special Forces and with the eye on the Green Beret. So, there must have been quite a evolution within internally and externally for you throughout that process.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely started internally. But I think part of it was being 20. I was 23 when I signed up, not really feeling like I got a direction, not really feeling like if I was not here, that the world would be any different or better off. You know what I mean? So it was like, how am I helping? What am I doing to make a difference and contribute in some way? And so that definitely had a good amount to do with that decision. And then, just going off to basic training and being so nervous about how I'd perform. But then after just taking it day by day, doing whatever the drill sergeants asked us to do. I was still a bit of a black sheep around the group that had joined, and I was a little bit older than most of the other, guys in basic training. But I just committed to myself that I was going to not only work hard, but I was just going to do extra every day, even if it was just little things like push-ups or whatever, just do extra. And eventually started to develop a belief in myself, because I started to, that's where the physical comes in. I started to not only feel differently, stronger and healthier, but I started to look different. I noticed, I hadn't seen, muscles on me since I was playing high school basketball, and I was still pretty skinny then, but it's from then on until I joined the military, I didn't really work out. I'd play pickup basketball once in a while, and that's about it. And once you start to see that, see the change physically as well, I think it also assists with your belief that you can make a difference. You can change who you are and how you see things and approach things. And I just, I think Pete Carroll talks a lot about developing grit. That's something he always talks about. I think that's sort of what was happening with me. It was learning how to kind of push through and drive through something that's challenging. I had other challenges in my life, but not that were like this, physical and competitive in nature, really, since high school. And all that stuff just sort of, gave me this confidence that I never really had before.
Okay. And then you go through basic, and then somewhere there's an election process for moving into special forces.
Yeah. You go to basic training, you go to airborne school. And if you, once you finish those, if you had the contract that I had, where you could go into special forces training, to do that before basic, we had to take a psych eval, language aptitude test, along with the ASVAB, which is the standard military tests. You take all these other exams, and you have to score a certain level to be accepted with, or to be offered that contract. So you get this contract that if you pass through airborne and basic training, you go to selection. And it's selection is, they call it Hell Week in the Navy for the SEALs. It's about 24 days long, and you're doing a lot of land navigation on your own. Most of the stuff's on your own. You do have a team week portion, but you've got a big rucksack, and you're trouncing through the woods in the middle of the night trying to find grid coordinates, and you've got a time limit, but you don't know what the time limit is. And there's people out there, a cadre out there, looking for you, making sure that you're staying off the roads. You're supposed to be doing it all sort of in the cover of darkness. And, you've got your big rucksack on and water. And sometimes the movements between points is, 15 miles apart. So it's a lot of mileage you're kind of putting on your body. And it's not just about making your times and finding your points and, doing the other things you're supposed to do. Cause we also go on these just long runs. They'll wake you up in the middle of the night, and it's all of a sudden we're going on a 20-mile run. It's just stuff like that. It's just to kind of mentally break people. They know everybody at some point is going to physically break, but it's the ones that just keep trying to move forward is the ones that kind of make it through. And then you've got team week at the end of that, where you work with 10 to 12 man teams, and you've got all these kind of out there problem solving obstacles you got to figure out. And it's stressful. Everybody gets put in leadership positions, to see how they handle that. And, then so a lot of it like comes down to like peer evaluations as well. But yeah, you go through that, that's just selection. Then if you get selected, which is, I don't know what the percentage is, but I think from people that sign up, it's only like maybe 20% or something like that get through. Then you start your 1.5 year long training to earn your Green Beret. And that's like, there's 5 different phases to that. You're learning a specific skill. You're learning a language, which I almost completely forgot. Mine was Korean. And you're also continuing to train, like it's weapons training, comms training, medical training, all that kind of stuff, until the end. Then you have a big culmination exercise. It's like 5 weeks long out in the woods, where you link up with a notional, military, from another country, and you have to like sort of, earn rapport with them, build rapport, and then start to train them. And then you go out on like missions. It's really cool the way that they do it, because it's all, obviously it's not live bullets or anything, but everything feels very real at times, including like SEER school, which I can't get into, but that's like the survival, evasion, resistance, escape, like the POW camp stuff, if you were ever to be captured. And like, that's all that training is just unbelievable. It's the best you can get in the world.
Okay. Well, then December 2006, now you're Green Beret. Okay.
You made it.
I made it.
All right. Then, so there's a whole bunch in here, and I mean, we kind of talked about all that. So you got a couple deployments.
Yeah.
And the whole piece, and I, what of that do you want to share for folks so they kind of understand a sense about what maybe you went through and what people go through, from the transition from training, and then also now you're moving, somewhere else in the world. And then next thing you know, you get a notice that you're getting deployed. So maybe just walk us through some of those things, and what are some highlights that you think are important for people to know and understand?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like anything. You can learn as much as you learn in the schoolhouse or at practice, or in the film room, like all that stuff's valuable, no doubt. But game reps, live action, like there's nothing like that for experience and eventually getting comfortable with it. Because there's not only like a culture shock and everything, it's a big change going on a deployment like that. And, mine were relatively short. My longest one was 9 or 10 months compared to some guys. I know people that had like 1.5 year long deployments, and like just that piece of it is such a grind. But then, when you're losing, you're losing friends and, having to take somebody else's life, like getting put in those situations, there's no way to really simulate that. So, that's just tough, but it's something that your training does prepare you for the best way that it possibly can. At the end of the day, no matter what you do, it's always about the person next to you. I mean, that's sort of what's taught to you, and setting them up for success, being there for them, making sure you're keeping them safe. And so, I mean, those are the biggest things that stick out to me. And in those moments, in the heat of battle, when something goes down, like that's what you always go back to. That's what I always go back to, I should say. Always go back to is just like making sure, not that I don't care about my own safety and security, like for sure, I'm scared in those situations, but because I know what's at stake with everybody else and like who I'm responsible for, it helps you overcome that fear. And, and in a perfect world, it helps you avoid complacency and all those type of things. That it's just like football in that sense. It's not life and death, of course, but like the best teams are the ones that play for each other, and the ones that understand, even if my job's not as, sexy as this other player's job, like if I don't do my job well, we could lose, and we don't want to, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be the reason. So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure the guys next to me are in a good position to make a play. I mean, it's really like, that's kind of the mindset that goes into a deployment. I think that the one you kind of have to keep, and also like keeping balance and routine, your routines in life, but also like balance, like having things that are totally unrelated to combat. I mean, I really like to exercise. A lot of guys love to play video games. I would watch football. That was a big escape for me during football season. It's like, we're like 8-9 hours ahead of time. So I'm watching Monday Night Football like 5 a.m. or whatever. But but it's like, but that matters. I get back from a mission. Like, I can't wait to do that because it's like, takes me away from, what you've been doing on a daily basis.
Right. So one is the self-care piece. So, I mean, that's pretty important in a lot of things, but particularly the more stress and adversity you're facing. So that's really important. So hearing that, and then I do like that analogy, like you said, it's not life or death, but making sure you're putting the person next to you in a position where they can be successful. And oftentimes they're going to be more successful if you're in a team situation, if you're doing your job at your best. I mean, that's coaches say that all the time in football is just
Right.
all the guys just do your job. You don't have to do your buddy's job, but if you do your job. So, and I'm just thinking about too, I'm an O-line guy. So tackle, tight end, working together, that whole thing has to synchronize and all those kind of pieces. So a lot of grounding pieces in there for us. So
I think a tight end position is a really interesting one with that, because like more and more today, it feels like I think a lot more stars are emerging at that position because they're catching the ball more, scoring more maybe than in the past. But like the best ones, the analysts know and coaches know, like the ones who do those little things right that most fans don't notice, from a blocking perspective, and, just being in the right place and doing what you're supposed to be doing. And like, yeah, those opportunities come. I mean, you obviously see it with George. He's an incredible athlete and a great player, but like when you hear some of those analysts in a broadcast, talk about the little things, like the way that he blocks and affects the game in the ways that you normally don't see sitting in an armchair. That stuff that's very much on the line with a good special forces soldier. Like, yeah, they may have some awards and accolades and stuff like that, but if you ask the guys on the team, about this person, like that's the true test of like, is he, quote unquote, a hero or not? Like, does the guy do the little things? Is he, willing to do the dirty job and be there for his buddies? And, because we all need help at sometimes in our life, but it's like those that are the first ones to step up when someone else needs help, that's the guys I want to be around,
No doubt. Yeah. So much of the little things that make all of life work for everybody else go unseen. I mean, really, most of the fans that they watch football, and some of them don't, but there's still a lot of stuff that you don't really always know exactly what's supposed to be going on and who does what and all those kind of things. And all of a sudden it's a great play. There's so many components to it that people don't understand. So, okay. And again, I don't mean to in any way I don't want to jump over that. Anything else about kind of the tours and your deployments and that kind of stuff that, you'd like to share?
I think it's just interesting that through those deployments, it gave me that continued confidence and belief that I was eventually ready to go back to college and to go try and play football. I mean, if I didn't serve, and probably if I didn't serve in the special forces, I don't think I ever would have attempted to go try and play even in college, even just walk on. So it definitely built that belief in myself and I guess that desire to be elite, or at least compete on an elite level, even if you fail, to kind of go to a place like Texas versus going to maybe a smaller school that I would have had a better chance. It was like hard to turn down that, what if I make it? Like, what if it happens? So that stuff all came from time and service.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so you didn't play in high school though. So did the kind of love for the game just develop on those deployments, like when you were watching it?
Yeah. I mean, I always loved football, but I just didn't play it when I was super young. I was interested in it, but I was playing other sports and it just didn't really happen for me. And then when I was old enough to play, at like full pads, like middle school or whenever that really kind of starts, I just was like worried I wasn't going to be good enough or make the team or something. And I was so focused on baseball and basketball that I just never did it. And it like was a huge regret because it was always my favorite sport to at least watch. Like I loved watching football. And so it was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to school. why not? Like, why not just try that? I don't want to like live with any kind of regret, you know, and like, I don't know. It was almost more appealing to me that I hadn't done it before. And it probably like a bit of naivety wasn't the worst thing in the world. Because if I had played before and maybe I wasn't that good or didn't have a great experience, I probably wouldn't have tried it.
Right. You know, though, Nate, your story, though, is a great example of how confidence can transfer from one lane to another in a person's lives. You know what I mean? So we talk all the time about, you know, we work with affirmations and all that. We're going to talk about mindset a little bit later. But I mean, it's great to sit around and say good, positive things about yourself, but like positive self-talk without backing it up, you know, it's just, you're lying to yourself, really. And so one of the things you going through the situations that you did with the military, like, you know, and this is, you know, so Pete Carroll's book with Dr. Gervais, right? So those guys put together, but they talk all the time about earning confidence. So here's what you want, and have you actually put in the hard work to earn it? And that's really true. So trust and confidence are built on deliberate, intentional thought, word, and action repeated over time. You know, we talk about that. So the military, certainly through those experiences, gave you enough confidence and training and that kind of stuff. And it's like whatever wall or obstacle or opportunity might be there, no matter how difficult it looks, you've already been through some of the hardest stuff in the world. So, why not? So great transference there. So, okay. Well, so I guess, so from the time you were done, so you rotate back to the United States, and then tell us kind of about exit out of the military. And then when you enrolled at UT, as you were making that decision, were you still part of the military, or how did that whole transition work?
Yeah, when I first got out and enrolled at UT, I was completely out of the military, and then I reenlisted in the National Guard the following spring. I just kind of missed it, missed still having an opportunity to serve, and then also I'd already made the football team, and the National Guard in Texas, they have a Special Forces battalion, and they'd said, you know, we won't bother you during football season. Like you can make up your training in the spring, and then in the summer I was just available for deployment. So the way it worked out, I would play in the fall, do spring ball, you know, of course in the spring, take my finals early, and then go to Afghanistan like late April or early May. And then they'd make sure I get back before training camp. So I just go for like a little over 3 months. So it's shorter deployments, but you know, I wanted to do that. It's hot and humid in Austin in the summer. You know, it's a nice dry heat in Afghanistan. So
Did you do that every year at UT then?
I did it before my junior and senior year. Before my sophomore year, I went to Bulgaria and Greece on like training missions. But they weren't combat deployments. Yeah.
And how old were you when your freshman year at UT?
My freshman year, I was 29. So I was about 10 years older than most of the other freshmen. And it was a little weird, but I'm a little weird. And also Austin's weird. That's our slogan. Keep Austin weird. But it just, I don't know. I also felt pretty welcomed, especially in the football locker room, which helped a lot. Those guys were awesome. You know, I every year, even with new freshmen coming in, as I kept getting older, they were great, you know, and some of my best friends are still, you know, guys I played with in college. So yeah, that was not as tough as I thought it would be. I mean, there's certain things, of course, like just you have experience as a person, not just the military thing. It's just you're a little bit older, and you know, sometimes you just got to bite your tongue and roll with it. But yeah, it was a cool experience. I enjoyed doing both.
Okay, and so from your other deployments, then back in, and then as you're transitioning to UT, how big a time gap is in there? And I guess I just wanted to, you know, did you face any of the kind of transitional difficulties that we've heard stories from some of the other vets that we've talked to?
You know, I didn't really feel like I transitioned at all until I got out of college, because college ended, and about the same time I got out of the military. I did have that opportunity in Seattle. So I was in training camp in the preseason with the Seahawks in 2015. But then like once that ended, it was like football was over, the military was over, all kind of over at once. And, you know, I was lucky to have some good friends and and goals, stuff like that. But you still miss that locker room and the team, and, you know, feeling like you're part of something pretty important. And it's right, you know, not long after that, fortunately, you know, just through conversations with Jay Glazer, we started to formulate this idea of recreating that locker room, providing something like that. And that's where MVP came from.
Okay. Well, and we want to talk about that because we've done a little bit on MVP already. In each show, we kind of read about the, you know, purpose and mission, all that. But I don't want to totally skip over UT because like
got a lot of stats here.
Like your bio, dude. It's like I mean, it's like a ton of stuff in there. So I don't like.
You don't have to read it.
So, okay. Well, I mean, I just don't want you to think like so. But you know, your last couple of years, you know, you deep snap for a long time, and then, you know, all that kind of stuff. So great stuff. You're on all these extra. You know, you played in the Medal of Honor Bowl and all that kind of stuff. So I don't want you to think we're shortchanging that. If folks want to see that, it's all available on Nate's website, and we'll put a link to all that kind of stuff and all that. I guess I just then talk to us in that transition. So what were some core lessons from UT, and then as you're trying to be a free agent, and then we can jump into the MVP stuff, because I think that transition, you know, and it's really notable because of the way in which you guys have paraphrased MVP about matching those guys up. Because when you leave the locker room for the last time, you never, you know, there's going to be a last day that you wear your pads.
Right.
And still, when you walk out and then you never get invited back, except for some alumni kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really different, and I'm sure that it's for the same thing. And then you're a guy that experienced both of those. So, but anyway, any highlights out of UT or big lessons that you want to share with us, and then let's talk about that transition.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the biggest one was, and you sort of alluded to it earlier about transitioning, you know, how skills can transition, even if you don't have experience in something, as far as the work ethic side of things, and just putting time in, committing to something and putting the necessary time in to, you know, potentially see a result. Like you just have to do it. Like you have to make that commitment and then just work at it, and kind of not be result oriented, like not focus on, this is how it's going to turn out. If I do this, this will happen. 'Cause it doesn't always work out that way. You know, it's like the only thing you can control is what you're doing, you know, how you're working, you can't control how the game's going to turn out or how someone else is going to perform or anything like that. You just got to focus on your own stuff. And so that was a big part of that. And just not being hung up on, well, this is how people did it in the past, or, well, no one's done what you're trying to do, you know, as an older guy that didn't play. So like, it's impossible, because that's not true. Obviously. I mean, it's just not. And so like, I just had to remember, like, what are the things that I'm good at? Where do I excel? How can I transition that into football? And also just identify and having, I think, the humility to identify a thankless job like long snapping, where it's like, I want to get on the field. I'm not a great athlete. Like I'm a good athlete, and I'm a really hard worker. So like, what can I do? Like how do I figure this out? Because I mean, a place like Texas it's full of great athletes. And so what's going to set me apart? And that willingness to do those jobs, you know, that thankless job. So just teaching myself to long snap, you know, watching videos and like just messing with it for months until I felt confident enough to, you know, try out for the position. And it ended up working out. So many of the things, like learning how to shoot a pistol, so many of the small little pieces and details with that and the focus involved, translated to snapping a ball, because it was something I didn't have a lot of experiences when I joined the military. I didn't grow up shooting guns a bunch, so I didn't really know. And, but we would practice like drawing it from the holster 1,000 times before you ever fired a round down range, you know? And so you're learning like those little pieces of it. And I just translated that into football drills, and it helped me get at least competent enough to, you know, make the team. And then eventually with the snapping, consistent enough to win the starting spot.
I love the idea of you just sitting there, like picturing the spark of inspiration. Like, I'm going to be a long snapper. Like, this is it, man. Like, this is the next path.
Well, I exhausted everything else. It was like, wow, you can't keep up with these receivers, so you're not playing defensive back. You're certainly not big enough to play about 80% of the positions on the field. So, like, what can we do? You know? And,
Oh, I love it though. I mean, it's not like a means to an end. It's like, how can I make this dream happen, and how can I be present in it and give this opportunity to myself? You know, and like you said, not getting so caught up on the expectation of what's going to happen, but just kind of falling in love with the process and being in it. So
those are the most exciting parts of anything to me. I think when you have like an idea or a dream, like you say, that spark, and then you're just like, I'm just going to go for it. Like that feeling, you know, like there's not much out there that matches that. Even when you're doing that thing later, like sometimes it's not as exciting as taking the first steps, you know?
Right. Yeah. Sometimes actually it's a letdown. Well, let's, we'll come back to talking about so as long as we're talking about mindset. So one thing that's kind of all over your stuff is this notion about anything is possible. And it seems like what you've been talking about kind of fits in with that. And so, when we work on kind of the mindset piece, and so our little program is called Mindful Awareness and Performance, but just, we work on visualizations, affirmations.
It's a real thing.
Alter egos, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just wondering, so this piece, do you have, and all our stuff is kind of meditation and mindfulness based, and then it kind of grows out of that kind of thing. So just wondering though, do you have obviously very strong mindset, trained by the military, anything is possible, that kind of stuff. Do you have any practices or tools that you specifically use about trying to keep kind of your house in order and keep you focused and motivated and all those kind of things that you found that work for you over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things for me, it goes back to control, like just remembering what I can and can't control. Even when I want to fight that, because I'm a type of person that like, I want to be able to control the outcome of a situation, and just like, it's hard for me to let go with certain things and just trust that someone else is going to get it done just as good or maybe better than I would have. So like, that's a big piece of it. But also, just maintaining that balance, trying to, I guess it all goes back to control once again. Like, I can control what I put into my body. I can control how often I exercise. I can control maybe not when I fall asleep, but when I go to bed, and like all those kind of things. And because I get stressed out easily. I feel like more stressed these days than I did any time in the military. And I think it's a lot of those little things in life. There's so many that you have to keep up with. That's something that's the one thing you don't have to do so much when you're serving, is like a lot of the little things. Like, you go on a deployment, I put all my stuff in storage, cancel all my, account bills, or like, I don't have to do with anything like that. I mean, it's very dangerous what we're doing, but it's a lot simpler. And then, you get back to the States and those things pile up, and now social media stuff and all this like noise, and it just like, it gets stressful, and it shouldn't be. So just trying to simplify things as much as I can, and kind of get away from that stuff, at least for a portion of every day.
I think something that you kind of brought up twice now is like how it starts kind of in your head, and then to like move the energy and kind of create, maybe it's like the conviction or the belief in yourself, that it kind of lands in your body. And like what you were saying about going through basic training, it's like you had that idea and you had the commitment, and then seeing your body kind of transform. And I think that's something that like we work with a lot of NFL players, and like even talking to George, it's like the spark, right, is really magical, and you kind of fall in love with the idea, but the process can get really challenging until our bodies start to kind of catch up and move through that. And so, so I think it's really cool that you guys have really tied the physical aspect of that into MVP. Do you practice any yoga or Tai Chi? I feel like you'd be a guy who just says like one or two, or like karate.
I've been thinking about getting back. I used to do a decent amount of yoga, and I haven't for a couple of years now. I mean, even pre-COVID, I just kind of stopped doing it, but I've been like thinking about it more and more, like getting back into it, because now it is great. Not to mention the fact that you put your phone away for an hour and you know, it's very soothing, the music and like it's challenging. It's really hard. I don't think yoga is easy, but all that stuff, I think I definitely miss and need back in my life. So I should. The answer is no, not right now, but I definitely should, and I think I will again very soon, because that is one of those things that kind of resets you. But going on a run does that for me too, you know, or even going out and hitting some golf balls once in a while or something like that, where you just kind of focus on that thing, and you can still think about other stuff, but I don't know. It's like a little more clarity of mind and less distraction. I think it kind of focuses you in on what you actually want or what's really important to you in that moment.
Definitely. And do you have like, even kind of all the different things that you've gone through, do you have a mantra or a phrase that you kind of return to or like say to yourself when you start to either like get stressed out or feel really challenged by something?
Yeah, I do. The saying is kind of like everybody's got shit in their life, you know, everybody has pain. And you get to make a choice though with that. Like, do you let the stench overwhelm you, or do you turn it into fertilizer and like do something with it? Because like some of the people that have done some of the greatest things in this world, like have been through the most, you know. We're always inspired by those that overcome these great challenges and do these incredible things. And yeah, I mean, it's that's something that I always have to remember, because it's easy to want to blame something or get down on yourself or get there or think that, man, if only this, you know, like if that would have just happened the way it was supposed to in my mind, like my life would be so much better. And it's just like, it happened the way that it happened, you know, and it is what it is. And a lot of times that's horrible stuff. But like, you know, the only thing that you can actually do now is recognize it. You don't have to necessarily accept it as like the way that it is, or the way that your life will be, but recognize it and then just make a choice on what you're going to do to either change it or, you know, improve the world around you.
Lots of lessons come from the things that we don't want in our life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because really, in the end, it's all a choice. You know what I mean? Because all the things that we can't control, like you said, all we can do is what we have within us and how we think and respond to things and do all those kind of pieces. So that's a great piece. And we've talked a lot on our show about the Viktor Frankl quote about the space in between stimulus and our response. You know, and that was kind of his big point is the stimulus hits. And if we have a sense of self-awareness, then it's in that pause, we are clear about our values, who we want to be, how we want to show up. And then we can intentionally make that choice as to how we want to respond to that situation. And that's kind of part of the mindfulness journey. So, but
Right.
It just sounds like you're very well on even without that. And then just want a reminder, this is a non-judgmental yoga encouragement station. So that we don't want any of our guests to shit on themselves at all. So you don't have to worry about that. But anyway, to the extent that it falls back into your life, that's terrific. And that's really good. Okay. Well, then let's, how about we jump up and then take us then, you know, to, and I don't want to overstate it, whatever the void was. So you're done at the Seahawks, you're done with the military, and then you're looking in the mirror and all you got is there's Nate Boyer. So, you know, what were you going through? And then lead us into the conversations with Jay and starting MVP or whatever else happened that helped you get through things.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I first got out, I hadn't even thought about the transition from the military at all. Because I was always like just focused on football as that next thing, you know. And then when that, I mean, the day I got cut, and just like the next day felt so weird. It wasn't like I knew it would come at some point, but it wasn't even like a disappointment thing. It was just kind of like, now what? You know, I don't really know what to do now. I got all this energy and like passion, and I'm just not sure. I knew I wanted to go back in and focus on the film and TV stuff, but I didn't know where to start with that. And it also just felt like I can't just like do that. Like I need to learn that. And then I started to talk to more veterans that were kind of struggling with transition, you know, and Jay was talking to a lot of athletes and specifically football players, and even coaches that just had left the game and were just lost, you know, and just didn't know who they were anymore. And, I don't know. It's like, it's weird to people send you messages, when you're in football, like, hey, why don't you call the Cowboys? They need a long snapper. It's like, it doesn't work like that. Like that is totally out of my control and not up to me. Like it's not how it is. It's like,
Hey, Jerry, you probably don't know, but you need to know me, right?
What's up, Jerry?
Exactly. So it was just like, it was just
how did you meet Jay?
I met Jay. So I met Jay before I went to the Seahawks because I came out to LA to finish my master's degree. I did like an internship with Peter Berg, who's a filmmaker out in LA. He created like Friday Night Lights. He directed Lone Survivor. And so a lot of the film and TV stuff that he did was the world that I was familiar with. And I came out here and somebody told me, if you're going to take a shot at the NFL, like you should go train at Jay's gym. You should go meet him. And I was like, oh man, the guy on TV, like, I don't know that. I mean, I can't, what am I going to do? Like just go knock on his door. And it's kind of what I did. Like I showed up at the gym. I knew, yeah, exactly. He's a little more accessible than Jerry Jones, but I showed up at the gym, and one of his trainers I was connected to, who was a former Marine. And he just said, yeah, come back this afternoon and meet Jay. And, maybe he'll cut you a deal or something, because the gym ain't cheap. So I came back up and got to meet Jay and talk to him. And he helped train me and give me that opportunity. So that's when I met him, when I was getting ready for that opportunity with the Seahawks. And, but we just kind of stayed close, stayed buddies. And this was something that he had been kind of formulating in his head, like a way to connect veterans and athletes somehow. And the way that made the most sense was that similarity in the struggle with the transition, and helping these guys out through that.
Okay. So then from the end of the Seahawks to the startup of MVP, what kind of time frame is that then? Is that
just a few months, 3 months. Yeah. Okay. 3 months later, we started MVP. So December of 2016. So we're coming up on, 2015. So we're coming up on 6 years of MVP.
Right.
6 years.
So each week, except for 1 week now, so we've had 4 other MVP guys on.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty cool. And we have others slated to go. So it's been a really interesting story. And what's really cool about it is, when you read the mission, and I'll read it right now, just as we're giving them a plug. So to empower combat veterans and former professional athletes by connecting them after the uniform comes off, providing them with a new team to assist with transition, promote personal development, and show them they are never alone. And there's some like the broad brush stuff is really, common, I guess, in that way. But, the individual pieces, when you talk to that vet, there's like 1 or 2 like really microcosm type things that happened as part of MVP that for them like was a really big difference. You know what I mean? So there's physical stuff, mental stuff, the support and accountability, you got the weekly sessions, all that kind of stuff. But yet, each vet they all help, but then they all identify with different components. So it's been a really cool journey for us to kind of listen to people on their journey and with MVP about those kind of pieces. So that's been pretty cool. So, all right, as one of the big hot shot co-creators of MVP, so like, I know you got your Rolls Royce and you're driving around with a chauffeur and all that kind of shit, right? Anyway, well, like,
I got a 94 Jeep Wrangler.
Nice. All right. I like it.
You got the 96 4Runner.
Yeah. So
we're solid.
We just keep driving them until they roll over.
Keep going.
So, so tell us a little bit about kind of your role with MVP now. And it's been a great partnership for us. You guys have been terrific on helping us line people up and do all that kind of stuff. And we're really proud to be able to share these kind of stories. But tell us kind of like, kind of what you're doing now. And I know you're doing a few other things too. So this is the chance to kind of plug anything else that you're doing and also suggest to folks how they might help and follow up. And just want you to know, because when we were talking to, I know you're a big Water Boys guy with Chris Long and those guys. Yeah. And so our donation for this week was split between MVP and Water Boys. So, and we did that with the Water Boys NFL under your name. So you got little extra fundraising for that. So anyway, because we
awesome.
really believe in the Water Boys mission as well. So, but anyway, so tell us some of the stuff you're involved with and what you would want people to know about MVP and or Water Boys, and how people can help.
Yeah, well, I mean, Chris Long has become a really good friend of mine over the last few years. He actually reached out to me the day after I got cut and told me about Water Boys. So that was nice to have something to start thinking about. And, we've been able to, on a yearly basis, we bring up a group of veterans and a group of NFL players to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And, we raise money for clean water wells in East Africa. So that's an awesome deal. It's an awesome program initiative that Chris started. And the initial goal was 32 wells to represent the 32 NFL teams. And they've exceeded that by far. And, he's doing a lot of great stuff. And MVP now, we've opened our 7th chapter now, just a few months ago in Dallas. So we're in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Chicago, Atlanta, New York, Seattle, and Dallas. And, we'll be opening more soon. We're actually, I think the next one likely will be, ironically, in Phoenix, Arizona, where you guys are playing this week. And it's been really cool to see it grow. And I was fortunate to be a part of, I got to direct a movie about MVP about a year ago. So we finished the post-production on that a couple months ago, and not sure where that's going to be out yet, but the NFL loved it. People at the NFL HQ and hopefully can help a lot of their former players through the film as well, and vets. And so that's sort of what's been going on, with me. But MVP generally is a big part of my life.
Right. And I just, about leaving the locker room, I will just say this because, when I got done playing, never did an NFL thing, but, and then went to law school, I've been at law firms, I've had all kinds of other jobs, and some of which have been terrific. But then I've also coached college ball and high school ball on and off over the years. And I don't know if it's just because, like you said, I'm a little bit off, but there are no other organizations that I've ever been a part of, and I've been a part of a lot of them after all these years, that I feel so at home with as a football team. You know what I mean? Just because it's just like you have this entire commitment and everybody's pulling on the rope primarily in the same direction and everybody's committed to the same thing, and being over the top is really welcomed in a kind of, nice way.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's really hard to find that kind of commitment to passion and a common goal in other aspects of life. At times it feels like, and so, kind of finding that void, because you always feel like you're, the round peg in a square hole or whatever, and it's just not quite right. So anyway, great things that MVP are doing as far as those pieces go. So let's see, anything else you want people to know about it? So we've got the MVP links in the show notes, and encourage people to hop on there. You can donate online. Same thing with Water Boys. So if folks are so inclined to go that route, that would be terrific. Anything else you'd like folks to know about the organization and some of the things you're doing? And then, we're going to be in Chicago with the Niners playing the Bears. I don't know if there's an MVP opportunity, but we could sure maybe explore that. I don't know, but let us know if there is.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a lot of members out there, and Chicago that'd be great. That's a cool city. That's one of our stronger chapters. And, but no, I mean, that's really it. I think for anybody out there, if you're struggling with, whether you're a vet, athlete, or otherwise, if you're struggling with finding purpose in your life, it's just like, don't be afraid to try things, don't be afraid to get out there and just learn about something that you've maybe been interested in and never attempted before, because it may be, it may change your life, and maybe what, is that spark that completely flips the way things are going. So be open to that, and just be there for your community, be a good person at the end of the day. That's the most important thing.
Wow. Okay.
Right. I have one question, and just off of the, don't be afraid to try new things. Nate, I feel like with your dedication and work ethic, you might have some just odd hobbies that you're really, really good at. Is there anything that is just like you've really gotten into? Like, I can see you being like really good at, I don't know. whatever.
Any secret talents or skills that you want to reveal?
No, I mean, if I have a little bit of liquid courage, I can be quite the dancer, but I did sing at both my brother and sister's wedding.
Oh, wow.
It's the only 2 times I've really sang publicly, I think. So it's not really a talent though. It's just something I did.
That's pretty cool though. Do you play music?
I like to do everything. Yeah.
Do you play an instrument at all or no?
I play a little guitar. Yeah. Play a little guitar.
So your next album's coming out soon?
No, no, no albums. No, I can't write music. My little niece can. She's great. She's already doing it. She's like, gosh, I think she just turned 10, but she's already writing music, writing songs and playing piano and singing. She's great.
That's awesome. Well, as we wrap, we always love to end with a little glass half full, and it's kind of how we like to look at everything. So, Nate, what are some things that give you hope, and what maybe some encouragement that you can give to our listeners, viewers, on achieving their goals and making the world a better place?
I think knowing where you're at, like being okay with where you're at, and just being okay with who you are, is the first thing. I mean, there's a lot of self-hatred, I think, in the not just in the country, in the world these days, and a lot of comparing ourselves to other people, and it's hard to not do that because it's everywhere. You see what every person, either in your life or outside your life, is doing at every moment because of social media and everything. But it's also a blessing. I mean, we're connecting in ways we never could. I mean, we're sharing this story, through those modes as well. So, but I think that's the biggest thing. It's just like, and it's hard to execute, but just loving yourself is so important. It's something I struggle with for a long time. I still struggle with it, but I know it helps. And I know when I feel good about who I am, or at least who I'm trying to be, it really helps me. And I think that's something that we can all focus on, and put yourself around the type of people that make you feel good about who you are, and then when you're around those people that don't, just be honest with them about how you feel and how things, how you think you can help them. I mean, it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing for sure. But it's something that's really important, because if you don't feel that way about yourself, you're probably not going to attempt that thing that you should, or step into that world, and and that discomfort, because you're just so worried about what everyone else is going to think of you. But man, that's the biggest limitation in the world, is the ones that we put on ourselves.
Exactly. Well spoken. So can't hit a home run unless you get up to the plate, and the greatest home run hitters had the highest strikeout rates. You know what I mean? So it's not failure, it's just experience. And then you build a platform to get to the next level. So
that's right.
Stay curious, be brave, and ask for help when you need it. So that's great. All right. Well, Nate, really enjoyed it. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So, you got your Texas stuff on. So the Big Red rivalry is tomorrow. Boomers Sooners and the Longhorns at it.
Hook 'em, baby. Come on now.
Hook 'em, baby. All right. That's great. Be safe in all your travels, all this stuff you're doing. We can't wait to see the movie. And then, let's talk about Chicago when we get a chance, if anything can work out during the week there.
Of course. That'd be great.
Lubu, anything else?
If you guys ever need a yoga teacher for MVP, I'd love to let me know.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, we should talk about that. That'd be great.
That'd be great. So thank you, Nate. This was
really
definitely
good.
One of our favorite episodes. So it was really great getting to know your story, and even putting a face to you, since you've been so helpful and awesome in connecting everybody else. And we've had such a great time with all of the other people from MVP. So, just thank you very much.
Thank you, Emma. Appreciate that. Thank you so much, Bruce.
All right, man.
All right,
Take care. See you later.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Hey, everybody, just wrapping up the end. So we wanted to bring it back to Ask George. And George, this will be airing on your birthday. So I really love this question. So this is from our friend Danny in Australia again. Danny's a homie. But she wanted to say thank you for your Ask George questions from the other week, because you were fabulous. But what advice would you give little George? She says specifically 16, but professional and football related. So kind of on this day of new trip around the sun, what advice would you give little George?
Little George or 16-year-old George?
Whatever George you want.
Okay.
Wow. What advice would I give him? Well, I wouldn't want to change too much because I think I've ended up a pretty good person, and I really like my life right now. So like, I don't know if there's too much I would give to him other than just enjoy every moment, because it does go by so quickly. There's so many things from being a teenager in high school and in college that like just ran right past. And I get brought up with it with like some of my old friends, like they're like, hey, remember when we did this? And like, I don't remember it until they say it. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, what was I doing? But I wouldn't change too many of the things that I did, or just love life every single day and enjoy it. And no matter what happens, the next day you can make it 10 times better, as long as you get out of bed and you go into it with a positive mindset, which I think is what I did when I was 16. And that's the reason why I am where I am today. No matter what you're dealing with, find some, if you need help, talk to someone in your family, talk to one of your best friends, and, just move on from it and just try to do what you can every single day to be the best version of yourself. And when you stack all those days, stack them. Oh, we're going really high up there. When you stack them all, you're going to be very impressed with the results. So 16-year-old George, just have fun and be happy and be positive.
There you go.
All right. Thanks, Georgie. We love you.
All
right. Good night, Hidden Pearls Podcast fans. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking around for the show. Super grateful to the Juszczyks, to GK and Deanie, and then to Nate Boyer. What awesome episode. I'm super excited. Hopefully we can get some yoga in. But if you guys want to get any more Hidden Pearls Podcast action, we are on Instagram as Hidden Pearls Podcast. We are on Twitter as Hidden Pearls Pod. I don't usually post on that, but I'm trying to get better. We're also on TikTok, Hidden Pearls Podcast. We're on Facebook. We have a page. I don't promote it, but we have a page. And we also have a YouTube channel. And so if you go on, obviously you're watching this, so you probably have found our YouTube channel. But if you want to subscribe, if you want to comment, that's awesome. We try to get back to as many of those as possible. If you guys have any questions or requests for the show, if you want to submit an Ask George question, you can do that at info@thunderbirdperformance.com. Please just put Ask George in the subject line and we will bring those in. And then last but not least, if you are so kind and willing to take a little bit of time out of your day and leave us a review and a comment and a rating on the Apple Podcast app, that helps us to get our message out. It helps us to kind of spread awareness, and it helps more people in the world to see Bruce. And
everybody needs
really
that
at the end of the day. So either way, I just wanted to say thank you so much, and go Niners.